Hello, and welcome to another Quarantine Theater Company reading. Continuing our Love Month readings right now. We are doing Because It's Valentine's Day. What better read to do than Fatal Attraction? I couldn't think of anything better. It's going to be great. Joining us tonight, we've got a handful of players with us. George is going to be our scene description and Jemmy. So yay, George. Unfortunately, and I apologize in advance, I cast Travis as Dan. I'm really sorry, y'all, but it should be a fun ride. Alexander is going to be our Alex tonight. That'll be fun. Jen's going to be our Beth, as well as many other characters, and I'll be all the rest of the characters. So without further ado, take us away.
All right. Fatal Attraction by James Dearden and Nicholas Meyer. Exterior New York City, night. The camera is high above Manhattan, surveying the city skyline. Low clouds glow dimly, reflecting the illuminated buildings and the street lamps below. The sound of traffic filters up, faint and distant. Slow dissolve to exterior Upper West Side. The camera drifts towards the upper stories of a group of 30s-style apartment buildings. Most of the windows are lighted. Slow dissolve to exterior apartment building. Camera closing in on one individual window. Through the slatted blinds, we glimpse a bedroom. A woman in bra and pants closes the blinds with a quick swivel of the blades. Interior Gallagher apartment, night. Amiable chaos. Beth, a good-looking woman in her 30s, leaves the window, going to and from the bathroom. She trips over an earphone extension cord, which leads to Dan, her husband, also mid-30s, with open good looks, flipping through latex and legal pads, bifocals sliding on his nose. We can faintly hear Schubert's Symphony No. 4 through the headphones. Ellen, an adorable child of 5 holding a coloring book, is lying sprawled on the next couch, intently watching TV. Now and then, Dan holds up his hand in front of her face, blocking out the TV screen. Ellen, oblivious to Dan's attempts to distract her, moves her head around his hand for a clear view.
Well, you better get going, kiddo. We're gonna be late.
I can't hear you, Mommy.
The phone rings, overlapping.
Oh, great.
She goes into the bathroom, leaving the phone ringing and Dan happily oblivious. Ellen sizes up the situation and goes over to her father. In a familiar gesture, she pulls off one side of the earphones.
Daddy, telephone.
Oh, thanks, honey.
He stands up and heads for the phone, revealing that he's only dressed from the waist up in crisp white shirt and tie. Below the waist is shorts and socks. On his way to the phone, he trips and stubs his toe. Interior kitchen and hallway, night.
Hello?
Dan, are you okay? It's Hildy.
Hi, I'm fine. I just stubbed my toe. Hang on. Beth, it's Indy. Hindley.
Hildy
Hindley,
calls out to
sorry.
the passage to the open bathroom door. Interior bathroom, night.
Oh, my wife.
Husband, you better not say my damn lines.
Sorry,
I'll
wife.
call her back.
She's in the bathroom.
Can you ask her what she's wearing?
She wants to know what you're wearing.
Interior Gallagher apartment bathroom, night. Beth is standing in her bra and pants in front of the mirror above the hand basin, starting on her makeup. Ellen stands beside her in a nightdress, playing with her mother's makeup, which is scattered chaotically. Beth is harassed, panicky, late. Ellen is twisting up a column of lipstick.
My black suit. Don't do that, honey. You'll get it all over your hands.
Her black suit.
Oh, it's going to be smart.
Interior kitchen, night.
You know what these things are like? You know what these things are like? It's business.
Ask her if she thinks my red dress is okay.
Dan smiles to himself, shaking his head good-naturedly.
Do you think her red dress is okay?
Interior Gallagher's apartment bathroom, night.
Perfect.
She said it's perfect. Huh? Okay, bye.
She looks down at Ellen, who has completely flattened the tube.
Ellen, now look what you've done.
She takes the lipstick away, registering its condition.
I needed that.
I'm sorry.
It's okay, honey. It's okay.
Interior Gallagher apartment bedroom, night. Now Dan is rummaging in the wardrobe, searching among the clothes.
Where's my blue suit?
The doorbell rings.
Damn it, there's Christine.
Interior Gallagher apartment bathroom, night. Beth straightens up in response to Christine's arrival, knocking a jar of cream onto the floor where it shatters with a splat.
Shit! It's on the back of the door. Watch out for the glass. Don't come in here, honey.
She stoops to pick up the pieces.
Shit, shit, shit.
Oh, thanks.
Ellen
Honey.
is waddling down the corridor.
Shit, 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 shit.
Ellen!
Interior Gallagher apartment hallway night. Dan and Beth are giving Christine, the babysitter, a mildly new wave teenager with a red streak in her hair, instructions. Sam pads around excitedly. Beth looks elegant in a black tailored suit, her hair pinned up with a comb.
There's some lasagna in the fridge, and I've left the numbers where we'll be on a pad by the kitchen phone.
Sure,
And no partying, do you hear?
but I've already sent the invitations.
Can I come?
You're too old.
Thanks, kiddo.
I thought we were late.
She pulls him out into the outer hallway with her. Interior Japanese restaurant night. A large reception. The restaurant has been taken over for the evening and cleared of tables so that the guests can mill about. Waitresses in kimonos pass in and out with trays of tasty sushi goodies and glasses of champagne. A publishing house is launching a new book, a Japanese exercise manual, hence the theme of the occasion. Dan and Beth, looking elegant, work their way towards the stairs. Dan grabs hands, pounds backs, working the room.
Oh, look at this.
Hey, Chucky, do you play ball on Friday? Great, we're in cellar. Can you use every lure we got? Hi, yeah, I mean, no, not next week. Wednesday, yeah. See you in court. Jesus.
He and Beth have reached the stairs to the main room. Beth pats her hair.
Is my hair okay?
You look great.
Dan, I'm asking you.
Honey, you're the cutest girl here. Hey!
Before Beth can say what she thinks of cute, Dan's face has suddenly assumed a mask-like smile as he sees someone approaching. He nudges Beth in the ribs and she follows suit.
Hi, Bob. How are you?
Bob Drimmer, senior editor at Robbins and Hart, arrives alongside, working his way around the room. He's wearing a neck brace. His eyes dart from side to side as he pumps Dan's hand, his mind already on his next move.
Glad you could make it, Dan. Sorry about the meeting tomorrow. I know it's Saturday, but we've got a real crisis.
That's okay. This is my wife, Beth. Bob Drimmer.
How do you do?
Pleased to meet you.
Across the room, a woman waves to them over a sea of hands.
Beth.
Back on Beth, Dan, and Drimmer. Beth lights up on seeing Hildy. She waves back. Drimmer seizes the opportunity to move on.
Hope you like sushi.
Love it.
Beth and Dan push forward through the rush and meet up with Hildy and Jimmy.
What happened to his neck?
He was making love to his wife.
Are you serious? Dan!
It's the truth.
You should see his wife. They had to take her away on a stretcher.
Hmm.
Laughter. The two women compliment each other on their respective outfits. Jimmy and Dan gravitate toward each other. Jimmy works in the same law firm. He raises his glass only to have his arm jogged by a man elbowing past. Champagne goes all over his shirt front. Thank you. The man half turns with a shrug.
Sorry.
Jimmy dabs his shirt front with a handkerchief. Fuck. What great cultural event are we here to celebrate anyway?
Some new exercise manual.
Not another one.
This one's different. It's by some Japanese guy. It's based on ancient samurai disciplines.
Their POV. Over the other end of the room, the Japanese author in question is being introduced to the guests in front of a table display of his books. He keeps nodding and bowing politely. Look at that man nod. Do you think it's part of the treatment? They branch off into their version of samurai delicatessen, amusing each other, but slowly getting separated from their wives. Lots of pidgin Japanese. Angle. At that moment, an extremely attractive blonde girl passes by, heavily ogled by Jimmy. Hi there. She turns and gives him a look to make hell freeze over. She holds the look a fraction longer, then turns and moves on. Shit. If looks could kill.
Very good, Jimmy. Very, very good. I see you haven't lost your touch. I like your moves.
General view of the room. Time has elapsed. Groupings have changed. It's even more crowded. Interior men's room, night. Dan enters, passing someone standing at a urinal.
Hi, Arthur.
Is that you, Gallagher?
Yeah, how's it going?
Fine. You still thinking about moving to the country?
We're still talking about it.
I tried it once for about 4 years, Hartsdale.
Yeah, and
I couldn't take the commute. The trains were always breaking down. What I should have done was waited till they made me a partner.
well, Arthur, I'll see you later.
Yeah, if I ever finish here. Interior restaurant area night. Dan tries to make it to the bar. His route takes him past the girl who cold-shouldered Jimmy. They almost bump into each other. Dan is slightly distracted by what Arthur seemed to hint at.
Can I have a champagne from France?
Their eyes meet and they smile.
I'm not saying I'm not looking at you.
Was it that bad?
Put it this way, I'm glad I wasn't on the receiving end.
I hate the way some guys think they have the right to come on like that.
Jimmy's okay, a little insecure like the rest of us.
There is a slight pause. She's looking at him with evident interest, so he doesn't move on. And she really is sensational looking. She must be in her 30s, but she dresses younger, trendily, and gets away with it.
I'm Dan Gallagher.
Alex Forrest.
They shake hands.
Alex, what's your connection here?
I work for Robbins and Hart. I'm an associate editor. And you?
I'm with Miller, Goodman, and Hurst. I do all your legal work. I'm surprised I've never seen you around.
I just joined them a couple of weeks ago.
Something across the room catches Dan's attention. His POV. Beth has seen him and is signaling they all want to leave. Beth's POV. Dan waves back and indicates he's coming. Dan and Alex. He shrugs apologetically.
I've got to go.
Is that your wife?
Yes.
Well, you'd better run along then.
Very nice to meet you. See you around.
Nice to meet you.
He walks away. She watches him go, clearly intrigued. Interior Gallagher hallway night. The conversation of the women drifts in from the dimly lit hallway.
What was that, wife?
Thanks, Christine. Shut up, Travis.
Anytime, Mrs. Gallagher.
Interior Gallagher bedroom night. Beth enters the bedroom and sits down in the nearest chair to take her shoes off. She looks across the bed. She's looking at Dan, sitting and starting to take his shirt off.
Aren't you forgetting something, husband?
She gestures. Dan follows her look. Sam is waiting. Interior Gallagher apartment night. Dan and Sam re-enter. All the lights are off. Dan takes off his jacket and feels his way into the hall. He unbuttons his shirt and moves cautiously forward. Interior Gallagher bedroom. Dan enters tentatively and stops in the doorway looking at the bed. His face drops. Ellen is curled up next to her mother.
She had a bad dream just for tonight, honey.
Yeah.
He smiles resignedly and walks towards his side of the bed. Interior Gallagher apartment building lobby, day, Saturday. The elevator door is open. Beth, Dan, Ellen, and the dog are crammed inside with a small bicycle. They hurry through the lobby.
If you like it when you see it, don't say anything, for God's sake, or we can't negotiate.
Honey, what are you worried about? Ellen, are you chewing gum again?
You know, we can't afford this house.
Daddy.
What, darling? Jeez.
No harm looking, is there? It's just up the road from Mom and Dad.
That's another good reason for not buying it.
I didn't hear that. Ellen, I want that gum.
Good morning, Chris.
Good morning, Mr. Gallagher.
We continue tracking them up to a little Volvo station wagon parked at the curb.
Let's not worry about it now, okay? I haven't even seen the damn place yet. I may not even like it. Ellen, the gum, please.
She surrenders it. Ellen climbs into the back seat. Quincy the dog naturally follows.
No, Quincy, not this time.
Daddy.
Daddy will be all alone.
He holds the dog by the leash. Beth starts around the car to the driver's side.
I'm sorry, Quincy. You won't forget to walk him, will you?
I promise.
Have a good meeting. Love ya.
Thanks. Love you too.
He throws her a
Like
kiss
it.
as she gets into the car. Ellen waves at her window.
My daddy.
Say hello to Grandma and Grandpa.
Oh,
Don't say that
shit.
shit about my daughter.
The car moves off. Dan walks away with the dog. Interior Robbins and Hart, outer office / lobby day. Interior Robbins and Hart, conference room, morning. Bob Drimmer and a couple of guys from the business affairs department are seated around the conference table with a secretary. Dan comes in with a briefcase. General hellos. Everybody seems to know each other. There's a general air of emergency. Drimmer is still wearing a neck brace. People are drinking takeout coffee and noshing on bagels.
Hi, Bob. Hi, Bob. Wow.
You see my mustache. Hey, Dan, sorry to ruin your weekend. Please give my apologies to your lovely wife.
No problem. She's used to it. How's your neck? Any better, if you know what I'm saying?
Don't ask. Henry's out of town, so I've asked Alex Forrest to stand in for him at the meeting. Has anybody seen her?
She's on her way.
While we're waiting, you want to tell us what really happened to your neck, Bob?
That's cute. Very cute. Oh, it's plenty of geraniums.
Dan can hardly suppress a laugh. At this moment, however, Alex comes through the door, slightly out of breath. Moment of recognition as her eyes meet Dan's.
Sorry, I was just getting the file.
Dan, this is Alex
Sorry.
Forrest, our new associate editor.
Sorry, Bob.
Editor.
Sorry,
Dan.
Bob. We met before.
He and Alex shake hands.
Hello. Hi, Ed.
Alex sits down. The meeting begins.
All right, let's get started, if we may. Okay, Dan.
Okay, here's the deal. You want to publish a novel in which one of your characters is a senator from New Jersey who sleeps around a congressman from Ohio, and is based on him and has filed an injunction against publication.
Are you having a stroke?
Oh, I thought I was joking. I'm good. But against his publication.
Look, the congressman's bald. This guy has hair. He's from another state, for Christ's sakes. Look, if we can't sell these books, we're screwed.
Well, that's all fine, but if I'm going to go into court and prove the senator isn't based upon this congressman, I have to know the truth. Now, strictly speaking, between these walls, did the author have an affair with Mr. Ohio or not?
Drimmer glances at Alex. He nods imperceptibly.
Yeah, she did, but then she's also had an affair with a lot of other politicians. Any one of them could make this claim. She swears the character is fictitious. I just got off the phone with her.
And you believe her?
Yeah, I believe her.
Dan takes a bite of his bagel and leaves a dab of cream cheese on his nose. Alex smiles and signals to him. Gratefully, he wipes it off and smiles back.
Good. Now that's all on the table. Let's see if we can move ahead. How soon can we get this injunction lifted? I've got 25,000 books in a warehouse gathering dust.
Exterior Robbins and Hart building, afternoon. It's pissing rain. Dan emerges, wrestling futilely with a portable umbrella. It's a losing contest as we dolly back to reveal he has arrived at the curbside next to Alex, who's searching for a taxi. Abruptly, all the rods tear through the flimsy material simultaneously. Dan sees he's next to her. She's got an umbrella. She approaches him, smiling.
Is it made in Taiwan?
Look, these are tough to find. Don't laugh. Do you believe this?
He chucks the umbrella in the trash bin and puts his briefcase over his head. His face lights up.
Wait. Here, I've got one.
Come on. How about giving us a break?
Their POV, a single cab drives towards them. Dan and Alex crane their necks hopefully as the cab turns on its off-duty sign and passes.
Oh, come on.
Can you believe this?
They stand there, getting wetter as the rain intensifies.
Ooh, this is hopeless. Do you want to get a drink someplace till it stops?
Yeah, come on.
They run off down the street. Interior bar/restaurant later. They sit at the bar of a nearby restaurant. The place is packed. A noisy hubbub comes from the dining area. Alex finishes her drink. Their POV. A man comes in from the street, drenched and cursing.
Want another one?
Oh, I'm starving. Look, have you got to be anywhere?
No, you want to sit? You want to eat?
I have to make a phone call.
She gets up and goes to the payphone. Dan watches her go, intrigued by the developing situation. Later, they sit opposite each other at a snug table for two. The atmosphere is comfortable and relaxed. They're evidently getting along well. He's telling her a story, putting it over with zest, performing for her benefit. Various ad-libs leading into the dialogue below.
Strangest case I ever handled? Well, the truth is I never actually handled it. But the strangest case I ever came near was when my parents decided to get divorced and my mother asked me to represent her.
Oh, you're kidding.
No, that's what I said to her. What do you mean? She told me. You know what a bum the guy is. You've been an eyewitness to this. Marriage for 29 years. Can you imagine this from my own mother?
How did you get out of it?
Well, you can't just turn down your mother. I escaped on a technicality.
Which was?
I told her I didn't practice family law, which was true. She bought it.
A waiter moves in to clear the table.
You're making this up.
Who could make this up? Waiter!
The waiter walks on, ignoring him. I don't blame him.
Well, very happy Valentine's Day to me. It takes a special touch. I don't have the special touch. This is my favorite restaurant. I have a lot of here people here in this restaurant. Oh, miss,
A waitress comes over.
you want coffee? Can we get 2 coffees, please?
The waitress goes off. Alex is watching him with a little smile. She lights a cigarette, offers him one.
No thanks. It's funny being a lawyer, a lot like being a doctor. People let you in on their innermost secrets.
You must have to be discreet.
That's right.
Are you?
Am I what?
Discreet.
I am very discreet.
Me too.
She holds his gaze for a beat, teasingly. The waitress returns with their coffee.
Cream.
Black.
The waitress turns to Dan with the cream.
I'm fine, thank you.
She leaves. Dan offers the sugar to Alex.
Not for me.
She watches as he stirs sugar into his cup. There is a momentary lull.
You know what really surprises me? And can I ask you something? I don't understand. You were free. Why don't you have a date Saturday night? Someone as attractive as you.
I did have a date. I stood him up. That was the phone call I made.
Dan is flattered by this information, as was no doubt intended. He cannot suppress a little smile. Alex notices and laughs lightly.
Does that make you feel good?
Dan makes no reply, changes his mind, laughs.
It doesn't make me feel bad.
So, where's your wife?
Taken by surprise, Dan fumbles for his words, almost choking on his coffee.
Damn, this is the most fun I've had for Valentine's. My wife, she's in the country for the weekend, visiting her parents.
And here you are,
He holds up his hands as if to protest his innocence.
being a naughty boy.
We're having dinner. Is that a crime?
Not yet.
Will it be?
I don't know. What do you think?
I think it's gonna be up to you.
She smiles. She's enjoying the game.
Well, I can't say yet. I haven't made up my mind. I can't decide.
She holds his gaze. There's a moment of complicity.
At least you're honest.
We were attracted to each other at the party. That's obvious. You're on your own for the night, and we're adults.
Let's get the check.
It's on. Interior Alex's apartment kitchen, night. A pot of coffee is percolating. Alex and Dan are pressed against the kitchen sink, kissing savagely. He lifts her up onto the counter as they grope at each other's clothes, dropping his pants, lifting her skirt. As she leans back, her hands bracing herself in the sink, she accidentally starts the faucet running. She splashes water all over him with her wet hands. There's something savage about their lovemaking. Finally, Dan picks Alex up and with her legs still wound around him, makes his way clumsily from kitchen to bedroom. His pants, which are still gathered around his ankles, threaten to trip him up, but he manages to make it to the bed. They fall on it together. He turns her over, and during the wild rolling and pushing that follows, they get closer and closer to the edge of the bed and finally land on the floor, exhausted. Some time later, we find them lying on the bed, still breathing heavily.
That was great.
Whew. Wow, thank God. Woo!
She starts to nuzzle him.
Are you feeling energetic?
What did you have in mind?
Want to go dancing?
He looks at her incredulously, not quite sure whether to laugh. Interior Gallagher apartment hall, day. The hall is in semi-darkness, a shaft of light coming through from the sitting room. Sam is lying asleep against the front door. The phone starts to ring. The machine cuts in. The tape is whirring with Dan's announcement. Interior Cat Club, night. The place is packed out, the music overpowering. This ain't Regine's. It's Lower East Side. Very punk. Serious dancing. The dance floor. The camera tracks over the dancers until it locates Dan and Alex. They're expending a ton of energy. Alex looks at him and grins.
You're a great dancer.
What? I can't hear you.
I said, forget it.
What?
Alex shrugs with a big laughing smile. Suddenly, she exposes a breast. Dan looks quickly around. It was just for him. Exterior Alex's apartment building, night. It's almost morning. Dan and Alex are walking through the deserted meat market area. Alex has her hand in Dan's.
This is where you live?
Yeah.
You know where I can get a cab?
He looks at her uncertainly. She simply pulls him into the building. Interior Alex's apartment building, elevator, night. They make their way to the huge old-fashioned freight elevator. Dan steps into it and leans against the far wall. Alex deftly pulls at the heavy iron gates.
Have you ever done it in an elevator?
Not recently.
I'll bet you haven't.
She slams the gate shut and pushes the button. As the elevator slowly rises out of sight, she throws herself at Dan. Interior elevator, night. They're making love, bouncing off the walls of the elevator.
Woohoo!
Their bodies and faces are brightly illuminated by the passing neon lights seen through the windows. Finally, Alex reaches to stop the elevator between floors. She drops to her knees in front of him. As he moans loudly, "Don't!" we hear the steps of someone approaching. Dan almost strangles himself trying to be quiet as he sees a pair of feet walk by on the eye-level floor. Desperately, he reaches out and pushes the button, starting them down. Interior Alex's apartment building, corridor, night. Dan and Alex are recomposing themselves. He clears his throat. His hair is disheveled. She clings to his arm as they walk the few yards to her apartment. They lean against the wall at the apartment door, exhausted.
This guy has some stamina. Holy shit!
Alex kisses him, then briefly leans away from him. She reaches up outside her apartment door and produces a hiding key. Trembling, unlocks the door while Dan kisses her on the neck. The door opens. They enter like Siamese twins. Interior Alex's apartment bedroom, dawn. The early morning light filters in through the curtains, cold and gray. We fade into a close shot of Alex, fast asleep, and slowly pull focus onto Dan's face, large in foreground. His eyes flicker and open. As we track back, he carefully disengages himself from her arm to get out of bed without disturbing her. Another angle. Dressed, Dan places a note by the bedside. Interior Gallagher apartment hall, early morning. Quincy is asleep against the front door, awaiting his master's return. He wakes at the sound of footsteps, wagging his tail in anticipation. A key is inserted in the lock. The door opens and Dan comes in. Quincy jumps up eagerly.
Good boy, Quincy. Yeah, I'm going to take you in a minute. We'll go out in a minute.
He sees the message indicator winking on the answering machine and goes to replay the tape. There are a couple of clicks before Beth's voice comes on.
Hi, what happened to you? I tried to call you earlier. I guess you're not back. I'm going to bed now, so call me in the morning.
The machine beeps and starts to rewind. Dan looks pensive. He moves out of shot, revealing a framed photo of Beth and Ellen. Interior Gallagher apartment bathroom, day. Dan luxuriates in the streaming jets of cleansing water. A large inflatable Mickey Mouse doll grins in the background, suspended from the ceiling. Interior Rogerson house, greenhouse, day. Joan Rogerson answers the phone.
Hello. Oh, Dan, darling. Oh, wait, hold on. Mama's got an awful mustache. Hold on.
What kind of night is
No,
it?
I have no idea.
Darling, we were expecting you.
Interior Gallagher apartment kitchen, day. Dan is pacing. He looks clean and fresh after his ablutions. He's on the phone.
I know. I'm sorry. I couldn't make it. Elevator High Club, you know.
No. Interior Rogerson House kitchen day. Joan Rogerson, Beth's mother, is an attractive 50-year-old with great facial hair. The house is comfortable and large without looking expensive. It's the house Beth grew up in.
Yes, it's a pity. We really wanted you to see this house.
Intercut on Dan.
Well, I'll see it next time.
Oh, yes, of course. You want to speak to Beth, I guess?
Yes, please.
Yes, hold on a minute. Beth, phone.
Joan opens the kitchen window and calls to Beth, who is playing a game of football in the garden with Ellen and her father, Howard. Beth comes into the greenhouse.
It's Dan.
Oh, Mom, you shaved. Looks great. Well, hello. What happened to you?
Well, I ended up having dinner with Bill.
You sound like you got a hangover.
No, I feel fine.
How is he?
He's same as ever, you know, Bill, just Bill.
Joan
Just
runs
Eric.
outside.
Ellen, honey, be careful.
Hello, that girl?
Well, he wasn't last night. I think it's over. He didn't seem to talk about it.
Gonna talk about it? You gonna read there, Travis, all your little words? Anyway. So, are you getting any work done?
Yeah, I'm working very hard. Yeah, I'm working
Sounds
very hard.
like it. Gross. Listen, there's some of the spaghetti sauce in the fridge if you get hungry.
Right. How's Ellen doing?
She's having the best time. I just hope Dad survives it. I don't know how to tell you this, honey.
She takes the phone and sits down, bracing herself.
She wants a rabbit.
No rabbit, honey. This family is gonna turn into Noah's goddamn ark. Give her a kiss and no promises. When are you coming home?
Well, it's getting complicated.
How come? Why's that?
There's a problem with the house.
They sold it?
Very funny. No. It turns out that we can't see it until late this afternoon. Darling, I'm not up to fighting all that traffic. I just thought I'd drive in first thing in the morning tomorrow.
Doesn't Ellen have school?
She's 5 years old. What's she gonna learn? Trigonometry?
Yeah, okay. I'll see you when I get home from work.
Okay. Bye, sweetie.
Bye. Take
Bitch.
car.
Care.
Wow, did I call you my wife? Take car, okay? Take care, okay? Have a good time. I swear I'm fine.
Dumbass.
He hangs up. He remains there for a moment, sitting pensively. Almost immediately, the phone rings again. He picks it straight up, assuming it's Beth calling back.
Yeah?
Alex's bedroom, morning. The room is in semi-darkness, the only light coming through a crack in the curtains. Alex squats on the bed in a black kimono, lighting up her first cigarette of the day. She is still a little groggy from sleep and looks very disheveled. In a word, rough.
What happened? I woke up and you weren't there. I hate that.
Intercut Dan.
Didn't you see my note?
What note?
I left you a note by the bed.
Oh, that's nice. But I thought we were going to spend today together.
I've got so much work.
Why don't you just come over? I'll cook us lunch.
I've got this dog to look after. This dog hasn't been cut off the house. Has been out of the house all day. I can't leave him alone all day.
Bring the dog. I love animals. Come on, I'm a great cook.
Listen, I'd love to, Alex, really, but
Look, do what you have to do and then come over. We can always eat late if you want.
okay, maybe later on.
Or you can work here. I won't disturb you. I'll be a good girl. You'll see.
You don't give up, do you?
You should be flattered.
I am. Okay, but I'm gonna do some work here first, then I've got to take the dog to the park for a walk.
All right, I'll meet you at the 81st Street entrance at 1 o'clock.
Exterior Central Park day. Quincy is running in the park with Dan and Alex. They catch up with each other and start rolling around in the grass, fighting for Quincy's ball. Dan gets up, throws the ball. Alex catches it and throws it back to Dan. Dan sends the ball high in the sky towards Alex. This time, it looks as if Quincy won't even bother chasing it.
Go on, Quincy. Cover your man.
Ad libs regarding the football game. Alex has to run backwards to catch the ball high above her head.
Oh God.
She just manages to get there.
Throw it back, Gallagher. It's the name. It's the name. Football's the game.
Alex laughs. Dan yells more ad libs about football as he fades back for the ball. She throws the ball back, but this time it lacks length. Dan sprints forward to intercept. He and the dog are on a collision course, the ball bouncing towards Dan. He lunges for it, catches it. He runs on for a few paces, carried forward by his own momentum. Suddenly he pulls up, his knees buckling under him. He sinks slowly to the ground, clutching his chest. Alex, she is no longer laughing. She starts towards him in horror.
Dan.
She breaks into a run.
Dan.
She reaches the spot where he lies. He is unconscious. She shakes him gently. He doesn't move.
Dan, can you hear me? Oh God. Oh shit.
She's really worried now. She puts her head to his chest to listen for his heartbeat. She straightens up. Suddenly he pulls a grotesque face and makes a spooky noise. She practically jumps out of her skin.
You bastard.
Dan hoots with laughter.
Ha! Your face.
That was a shitty thing to do.
She sits up. She's really quite upset.
Hey, I'm sorry. I was just fooling around.
She stares into the distance. Her voice is stony.
My father died of a heart attack. I was 7 years old. It happened right in front of me.
Dan shakes his head numbly. He feels terrible.
Oh, honey, I'm sorry. Really, I am. That's awful. I apologize if I'd known I never would have.
Alex sits there watching him squirm. Suddenly she bursts out laughing.
Uh-huh.
He's taken aback. It takes him a second or two to catch on.
Your dad's okay? Your dad didn't die? He's alive?
He's alive, well, and living in Phoenix.
Well, you got me. I certainly deserve that one.
He looks at Alex out of the corner of his eye as if to say, what have I got myself involved with here? She smiles sweetly. Butter wouldn't melt. Interior Alex's apartment, afternoon. A tape of Madame Butterfly plays as Dan and Quincy awkwardly examine the apartment. Alex comes by wearing an apron, looking efficient, on her way from the kitchen. She turns up the volume of Butterfly.
Let's hear it.
Camera holds on Dan's reaction. How nice to be with someone who likes to listen to music loud.
I hope you like spaghetti, specialty of the house.
Goes with the opera.
He uncorks a bottle of wine, trying not to notice Quincy sniffing about this strange place. He pours 2 glasses and heads out. She's cooking up a storm. Dan uncorks the bottle.
That smells so good.
He takes the bottle to the table and pours 2 glasses.
Anything else I can do to help?
No, just make yourself at home. You could put on another tape if you want.
No, this is great. I love Madame Butterfly.
Really? It's my favorite opera.
Dan brings her a glass. He remembers, twirling his glass.
Mine too. It's the first opera I ever heard and saw. My dad took me to see it at the old Met when I was 5 years old.
Did it make sense at all?
Oh yeah, I got the gist of it. I understood about the U.S. sailors setting up house with this Japanese girl. I got all of that, but in the last act, after he left her and my father told me that she was gonna kill herself, I was terrified or freaked out, and I climbed right under the chair. Right here, isn't it?
She nods. They listen for a moment. Dan remembers.
Funny.
What?
I remember it as being one. Well, it had to be one, or of the few times my dad was really nice to me, comforting me at Madame Butterfly.
He shakes his head at the memory and takes a drink. He fails to see how moved Alex is by this confession. Interior Alex's dining area later. Butterfly in the background. Dan and Alex look at each other over their glasses.
What? What are you thinking?
I'm wondering, why are all the interesting guys always married?
Maybe that's what makes them why they are interesting. The fact that you can't have them.
How long have you been married?
9 years.
Have you got any kids?
Yeah, a 6-year-old girl.
Sounds pretty good.
Yes, well, I'm a lucky guy.
So what are you doing here?
Boy, you sure know how to ask him.
I really want to know. Look, I had a wonderful time last night. I'd like to see you again. Is that so terrible?
No, I just don't think it's possible, Alex. Really, this is very unusual for me. I don't do this.
It's strange. I feel like I already know you. I just want to know where I stand.
He looks her squarely in the eye.
I think you're terrific, but I'm married. What can I say? So I don't know what else to say except for I'm married.
I guess. Just my luck, I guess.
She raises her glass ironically and drinks, covering her disappointment. Interior Alex's apartment bedroom, evening. The fading evening light casts voluptuous shadows through the window. Alex and Dan are in bed, naked under the sheets. Dan is asleep, propped up on one elbow. Alex looks down at him tenderly, watching him. All is still. Suddenly, Dan's eyes open. For a moment, he doesn't know where he is. He looks at his watch.
Shit.
He swings his legs out of the bed. For Alex, the mood is abruptly shattered.
What are you doing?
He pulls on his shirt.
I have to go.
What for? I thought you said she didn't get back till tomorrow.
Look, there are things I have to do. I gotta go home.
You know, I don't think I like this.
Like what?
The way you keep running off every time we make love.
He looks at her and sees that she is in earnest. Indeed, there is an edge of almost manic desperation to her voice. He tries to take the heat out of the situation.
Alex, whether I leave now or in the morning, the fact is I gotta go.
Well, you're not going to go now.
She grabs hold of his shirt.
Stop it. Stop it.
I mean it.
There's a loud rip as the shirt tears. They're both angry now.
What's the problem? What are you doing?
I'm sorry.
You're gonna be reasonable?
Me? Be reasonable? What? Thank you. Goodbye. Don't call me. I'll call you.
He starts to button up his shirt.
You knew all about me. I didn't hide anything. I thought it was all understood.
What was understood?
The opportunity was there and we took it. We're both bunch adults, aren't we?
What's that supposed to mean?
I thought we could have a good time.
No, you thought you'd have a good time. You didn't stop for a second to think about me.
This is crazy. You know the rules.
What rules?
Look, Alex, I like you. I do. I'm not saying if I wasn't with someone else in another time and place that we couldn't have I'm not free.
Oh, please, don't justify yourself. It's pathetic. If you just told me to fuck off, I'd have more respect for you.
He looks at her with calm deliberation.
All right, fuck off.
Okay, and you get out.
She lashes out with her foot, kicking him off the edge of the bed. Interior Alex's apartment, kitchen, night. Alex stands over one of the worktops, her back to the entrance. She's wearing only a t-shirt. As Dan comes in, she drops something under the surface with a metallic clatter.
Okay, I'm leaving.
She turns around, a smile on her face.
Why don't you come here and say goodbye nicely? Okay? Let's be friends.
He advances warily. She puts her arms around his neck and kisses him.
I'm sorry if I upset you.
It's okay. It's okay.
She kisses him again, more fiercely this time, holding his face in both hands. She releases him and takes a step back. She has a triumphant gleam in her eyes. He raises a hand to his cheek.
Your hands are all wet.
He looks down at his own hand, which is smeared with red, then back to her. She brandishes her wrist, giggling crazily. Blood oozes from two ugly gashes.
Oh, Jesus Christ, Jesus.
Afraid of a little blood?
He drags her to the sink and runs cold water over the cuts. She winces with pain, her laughter turning to tears.
Hold on. Keep it under the water. Jesus Christ.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
You have a first aid kit?
No.
Have you got a bandage? Have you got anything I can use as a bandage? Here, hold it up. Hold it tight.
Interior Alex's apartment bedroom, night. Dan bursts into the room, goes to a chest of drawers and searches for something to use as a bandage. He finds a shirt and tears it into strips. Interior Alex's apartment bathroom, night. Alex is sitting on the tub. Dan crouches in front of her. He finishes bandaging her wrists. She is silent, head bowed, submitting passively to his ministrations.
Is that too tight?
Alex shakes her head.
We got to go to the hospital. You may need stitches.
No, I'm okay. All right, I'm fine.
Dan looks into her eyes, searching for an explanation. She turns her head away.
Don't look at me like that. Why are you looking at me like that?
A solitary tear trickles down her cheek. She tries to fight it back.
Why can you tell me why? Can you tell me why? Why are you so unhappy?
She looks at him, starts to speak, bursts into tears, and finally gets it out through strangled sobs.
I'm so alone.
The words come out in a protracted, almost primeval wail, a terrible cry of pain. She starts to weep uncontrollably, burying her face in her bandaged hands. Moved, Dan holds her in his arms, stroking her hair.
Sometimes I come home and I just sit there, and there's this kind of tightness in my chest. It's like I can't breathe. I'm so sorry.
Don't be sorry. Don't be sorry. Okay, it's okay. You don't have to be sorry. No reason to be sorry.
The tears are streaming down her face. We cut back wide to show her cradled in his arms, a touching, pathetic sight. Interior Alex's apartment, bathroom, night. Dan opens a mirrored cabinet above the basin. He is confronted by rows and rows of pills. He finds the bottle he's looking for and closes the door, coming face to face with his own grim reflection. Interior Alex's apartment, bedroom, night. Alex is in bed. Dan sits beside her, watching as she swallows 2 of the pills. She lies back, looking very pale. All her defenses are down. She is totally vulnerable.
You'll feel better when you get some sleep. I'll stay here tonight.
You don't have to. I'm okay now.
No, I want to.
She attempts a brave smile.
I'll be in the other room if you need me.
Thank you for being so kind.
Go to sleep, okay?
He gets off the bed, switching off the bedside table. She turns over and curls up into a fetal position. Interior Alex's apartment, main room, night. Dan dials a number. The leaves of a large potted palm cast ominous, jagged shadows over his face. When he speaks, he keeps his voice low, afraid of being overheard.
Hello?
Hi.
Hi.
Did you just call me?
No.
I was in the shower and the phone rang. I thought maybe it was you.
Nope.
How are you? Did you have a good day?
Oh, we went to see the house.
Yeah, and?
Interior Alex's bedroom, night. Alex lies still, eyes closed, as Dan's conversation can be faintly heard. We can't tell if she's listening or not.
You did? Really, babe? That's really terrific. You really sound excited.
Back to Dan and Alex's living room.
Yeah, I'm not against it. I don't get the wrong idea. It's just a question of the money.
I know. If we can't afford it, we can't afford it. What are you up to?
Nothing much. I think I'll get a bite, kick in early, go to bed early. I'm wiped.
See you tomorrow.
Okay, darling. I love you.
I love you too, dumbass.
Okay. Bye.
Bye, darling.
Bye, wife.
Dan puts down the phone, deep in thought, feeling like shit. Interior Alex's apartment, bedroom, night. Alex is fast asleep. Dan wanders around the kitchen and the living room. He looks in on Alex on the way. Later, he sits on the living room couch, deep in thought. Interior Alex's loft, bedroom, dawn. Dan is lying on top of the bed, fully clothed, his eyes open. Softly, he gets up and steps to the window. POV. The meat market on the corner is already in full swing. Dan leans over the bed.
Alex?
She wakes drowsily. She takes a second or two to focus on him. She smiles weakly.
How are you feeling?
Okay,
Does it hurt?
She moves her wrist from side to side.
a little.
Yeah, I gotta go now.
Will you call me sometime? You don't have to if you don't want to.
No, I will. If you promise me you'll see the doctor.
Okay.
He bends forward and kisses her chastely on the forehead.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
You take care.
You too.
He pauses at the door and looks back. Alex turns over and goes back to sleep. Interior Gallagher apartment, bedroom, morning. Dan ruffles the bedclothes until satisfied the bed has a suitably slept-in look. Interior Gallagher apartment, kitchen, morning. He opens the refrigerator, takes out a pan of spaghetti sauce, and gives it to Quincy, who consumes it with relish. Interior Dan's office and hall, 8 a.m. Martha, Dan's secretary, crosses the hall and sees Dan's door open. She goes into his office.
Yeah, there we go. What are you doing here? It's 8 a.m.
Dan looks up from his work, glasses sliding down his nose.
Martha, I'm supposed to be in court by 2 and I'm really behind. Do me a favor, cancel everything and call Drimmer. Tell him we're fine and I'll see him there at 2.
Two. Okay.
Good morning, Martha.
Interior Gallagher apartment hallway, night. Dan puts the key in the door and enters, somewhat bushed.
Hello?
As he starts to take off his coat, Ellen charges down the hall and jumps into his arms.
Hey, how's my main squeeze?
He holds her awkwardly in his arms and walks towards the kitchen.
We had a great time. I went for a walk with Grandma, and we saw rabbits. Oh, I Sally chased them, but she didn't catch any. And then we had.
Okay, hey, slow down. Whoa, I can't understand a word you're saying.
Beth is standing in the kitchen, a big smile on her face.
But Daddy, I want a rabbit.
Hi, darling.
Hi, babe. I really missed you.
Ellen picks up his briefcase and carries it off.
Liar.
I
Smell
did.
Sex on you.
He kisses her tenderly. He puts his arm around her and holds her tight. He kisses her again, almost sagging with relief.
I should go away more often.
Interior Gallagher kitchen area, night. Dinner is over and Beth is putting away dishes. Start on Ellen's tiny hands, attempting to shuffle a deck of cards, which she then presents to Dan. An aura of calm and serenity pervades, low light.
Now
Pick
pick
a
up.
card.
Oh, sorry. Any card.
Ellen looks at her mother, who nods.
Yes.
Dan picks a card. Beth is clearing the table.
Where'd you learn this?
Grandpa showed me.
Dan does. With great absorption, much to his delight, she begins to deal with the cards into rows.
Do I show it to you?
No, put it back.
The trick is going to take forever.
So, how was it?
How was what?
Come on, I'm a big boy. Tell me I can take it.
Ellen leans to tell him in his ear.
It has a place for rabbits.
Dan
And
makes a
kitties.
terrible face.
And kitties.
Beth re-enters with 2 coffee mugs and sits down.
She said it's the R word.
What can I tell you? It's perfect.
Is it in this row?
Dan lifts one eye and peeks.
No.
So when are you going to come up and take a look? Just for the hell of it.
In this row.
No. How about first thing in the morning?
Beth reacts surprised, very excited.
Daddy, which row?
This one, sweetheart.
You mean it?
Yeah, I mean it. You can get me back by 1 o'clock.
He's smiling, so happy to be home with them.
Wait, that's wrong. I made a mistake. Oh, I have to start over.
She gathers up the cards, fine with Dan if it takes all night. Exterior country house day. In long shot, a small 2-story timber house, painted white, the paint somewhat flaked. Their Volvo is parked in the drive next to another car. Interior country house, main room, day. Their footsteps echo on the bare floorboards of their empty house. Light streams in through the wide windows. There's a spectacular view over open countryside. Dan looks around impressed. Beth sees this and senses victory.
Well,
It's okay.
He's trying not to let his enthusiasm show.
what do you mean, okay? It's fantastic.
Shh. Fantastic. It's great. It's great.
Just think of all the money we'll save by not living in New York. And I can get a job teaching once I get my diploma.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Interior country house hall day. They continue through towards the hall where the agent, a primly dressed woman in her 40s, has been hovering in the doorway.
The local high school is excellent. My own children went there.
You see?
This really is a terrific area for kids.
No, I'm sure. Would it be okay if I...
He points to the stairs.
Please go right ahead. I'll wait for you down here. For you. Mhm.
They carry on up the stairs. Dan's resistance is weakening, his objections sounding less and less convincing.
We'd still have to decorate.
There's nothing we can't fix ourselves. We can have painting parties.
Painting parties? Beth, you're making me very nervous.
Interior country house loft room day. The trap door swings open and Dan's head appears, followed by Beth's.
Wow, look at this. This is fantastic. This is great.
They step up into the room. The floor is varnished wood. 2 windows have been cut in the sloping roof. The ceiling has been plastered over between beams, leaving the wood exposed. A really skillful conversion.
This would make a terrific playroom.
What are you talking about, playroom? This is my den.
I knew you'd like it.
How about making it a nursery?
He puts his arms around her and gives her a big kiss. He pushes her back toward the floor, pretending to ravish her. She resists laughingly.
I already did that. Dan, stop it.
She manages to trip him. They fall together on the floor with a loud bang. He starts to make love in earnest.
Why don't we christen this little sucker right here?
Are you all right up there?
Yes, thank you. Just some christening.
They giggle, but they don't stop. Exterior law firm building day. Their car pulls up outside the entrance. Dan jumps out and runs into the building. Interior building lobby day. Dan enters the building and crosses towards the bank of elevators. Several people, including a stunning blonde and a baby in a stroller, are about to get onto an elevator. Dan runs to catch it. Interior law firm building elevator day. Dan is standing next to this extremely attractive girl. He looks at her, then studiously ignores her. He looks around at the floor and finally at the baby in the stroller. The baby stares back at him quizzically. Interior law firm reception day. Dan comes out of the elevator and into the reception area.
I'll be in court.
Oh, thank you.
Hi, Dan. How you doing?
Good afternoon, Mr. Gallagher.
Hello. Eunice.
Eunice!
Eunice!
Eunice, sorry, I was christening my
I've
mom.
worked here for years, Mr. Gallagher. What the fuck?
Martha back from lunch yet?
She just got back.
Sitting there waiting is Alex. She looks somewhat severe in a well-cut dark suit, but still very beautiful. She's obviously ill at ease.
Hi.
Hello.
He glances towards the receptionist who is watching them. She looks away.
I hope this isn't inconvenient. I was in the area. I figured.
She trails off.
No. Would you like to come into my office?
Interior law firm corridor day. They walk along in silence. Alex is watching him out of the corner of her eye. They pass the open door of an office inside which we glimpse Jimmy. He sees Dan and pokes his head out the door. Hey, Dan! Dan stops and turns. So does Alex. Will you be in your office later? There's something I need to go over with you.
Sure.
Jimmy is looking curiously at Alex, trying to place. Haven't we met somewhere?
I can't imagine.
Well.
He and Alex continue up the corridor. Jimmy goes back into his office, still trying to figure it out. Interior law firm, Dan's office day. They enter the office. Martha, his secretary, is visible through the door, staring after them, obviously intrigued by Alex. Dan closes the door on her. He goes and sits at his desk, pointing Alex to the chair in front. There is a bizarrely formal air to the proceedings.
Have a seat.
Thanks.
She sits. Dan can't help glancing at her wrists, which are covered by her long sleeves.
Are you okay? I was going to call you today.
I'm fine. Listen, I find this terribly embarrassing. I wanted to say sorry for what happened. I had no right to put you through all that.
Nothing happened, okay?
But she seems determined to explain herself.
The fact is, I've been going through a bad time. I was coming to some sort of crisis. I feel so much better thanks to you. So, thank you.
You don't have to thank me.
Oh, yes, I do. Most guys would have just taken off, run away. I don't know what might have happened. What I would have done if you hadn't been there.
You're looking good. As a matter of fact, you look great.
He looks at her with a smile, and indeed it's true. He's beginning to warm to her. Now he realizes she's sane again.
Thanks.
There is a moment's silence. Dan isn't quite sure what's coming next or where the conversation is leading.
So, all that's in the past. I was wondering, would you do me, I'd like to ask one more favor.
What's that?
He shifts awkwardly in his chair.
I've got tickets for Madame Butterfly 2 weeks from Thursday. I'd be very grateful if you'd let me take you. A peace offering.
It's very kind of you, but I really don't think this is a good idea.
No strings attached.
Alex, under different
You don't have to explain. I just thought I'd ask. I'll see you sometime.
They go to shake hands. Dan suddenly finds the formality rather ridiculous.
Hey,
He kisses her.
take care.
Goodbye.
He escorts her to the door and closes it after him. He shakes his head and lets out a deep breath. Interior Opera House, night. On stage, the beginning of Act 2 of Madame Butterfly is in progress. Butterfly sings of her love for Pinkerton and dreams of his return one fine day. The camera glides over the heads of the audience until it discovers Alex. She sits alone next to an empty seat, elegantly dressed for a night at the opera. We move closer until her face fills the screen. She listens to the music with a fixed expression, impassive, devoid of emotion. It's a strangely unsettling image. Interior bowling alley, night. Dan and Beth are seated at the scoring table with Hildy and Jimmy. They take turns getting up to bowl in the alley before them. The ladies really don't know how to bowl. The men profess to be experts. There is beer and shouting, lots of laughter and lots of warmth. The music from the previous scene, Madame Butterfly, continues over the soundtrack. Interior Opera House, close shot, Alex, night. The image of Alex hovers over them like some malevolent bird of prey. Who knows what dark thoughts are palpitating behind those impenetrable eyes? On stage, the opera is coming to its climax. Butterfly collapses to the ground, mortally wounded by her own hand. As she finally expires, we hear Pinkerton's desperate cries off stage. Interior law firm corridor, day. We track back from Arthur and Dan past office after office. About Rogers versus whatchamacallit.
Winitsky.
All right, I got your memo. You're going to go for summary judgment?
Why not? The facts aren't in dispute. Rogers admits he read Winitsky's article. The only question is, did he plagiarize it in his book? As you well know, as we both know, you can't copyright an idea, just the expression of an idea. Rogers certainly didn't use any of the words in the book.
Let me think about it, okay? So I hear you're about to become a suburbanite.
Yeah, we took the plunge.
Got a buyer for the apartment?
Not yet.
Got cold sweats about your escrow?
Maybe a little.
But not about Rogers and Winitsky.
No, sir.
Arthur eyes him shrewdly, appraising. Interior law firm, Martha's office, day. Martha is talking on the phone.
He's still in a meeting. Yes, I know. I did expect him to be through by now.
Interior law firm corridor, day. Dan and Arthur are walking towards Dan's office. I'd like you to have lunch with me on Tuesday if they're around.
Oh, that'd be great, Arthur. Thank you, Arthur. It'll be my pleasure. Let me just check my diary.
Interior law firm, Martha's office, day. They arrive outside the door. Martha is still talking. She's having a hard time getting off the phone.
You are on his call list.
She looks up as Dan enters. He looks at her quizzically. She covers the receiver.
It's Alex Forrest.
Again? I thought you told her I'd call back.
He can't help glancing back to where Arthur is still hovering in the doorway.
I did.
Let me see the diary. Put her on hold.
She hands it to him. He hurriedly looks for the relevant page.
Would you mind holding? He'll be free in a moment.
Arthur, Tuesday be great. Thank you.
Good. I look forward to it. He leaves. Once satisfied he's gone, Dan turns to Martha.
Put her through.
Interior law firm, Dan's office. office day. Dan picks up the phone.
Hello. Look, Alex, I thought we'd agreed that this wasn't a good idea.
I have to see you.
Why? What for?
There's something we have to discuss.
I'm sorry, I thought you understood. If I'd somehow given you the wrong idea, I apologize, but I think it's best if we don't talk to each other anymore.
Dan hangs up, then pushes the button for the intercom to Martha's office.
If she calls again, tell her I'm out.
Interior Gallagher apartment bedroom night. Beth is sitting in front of the mirror, fixing her makeup, getting ready for the evening. She's looking great in bra and panties. Dan comes up behind and puts his arms around her, kissing the nape of her neck.
You smell good.
He strokes her breasts.
Dan, they're gonna be here in a minute.
He kisses her on the lips. She responds, enjoying the moment.
Just let me look at you. God, you're beautiful.
Beth is surprised and touched by his romanticism, but she respects his intensity. Dan sits behind her and starts to stroke her legs, her breasts. He looks into her eyes. They're about to kiss again. The doorbell rings.
Oh, wouldn't you know?
Interior Gallagher apartment living room evening. Jimmy pries the cork off of one of the bottles with a loud pop. He rushes to fill the glasses. They're all seated around the sofa. General ad-libbing of cheers and excited chatter as frothing champagne spills over the table. Jimmy raises his glass in mock solemnity. Ladies and gentlemen, my wife, my ball and chain, mother of some of my children.
You should have such a ball and chain.
A toast. Here's to Miller, Goodman, Hurst, and Gallagher.
Guys, all he did was ask me to lunch.
And they're moving to their country estate. They'll forget they even knew us, plebes. Plebes.
Now, wait a minute. I want you to know I've been reading one of those self-help books lately.
Published by Robbins and Hart, of course.
Of course, Samurai Self-Help, and it tells how to deal with the anxieties of friends as you move up the corporate ladder and they stay put or, God forbid, move down.
You talking to me? To me? Well, there's no one else here.
He's been trying to get De Niro for 10 years. It's pathetic, a sad thing.
That was a nice taxi driver. Moving right along, and in this book, it tells why not to coddle the anxieties of these friends. So I'm not going to make a lot of false reassurances. I can't say you'll be up every weekend. Let's face it. Things have changed. This isn't a classless society. As a matter of fact, this is goodbye, guys.
I knew it. Well, at least you're running true to form.
Man.
Well, honey, it's best to make a clean break. We're on our way. We want to travel light.
The phone rings. Beth answers. The others go on chatting. Close on Beth. She picks up the phone.
Hello? Hello?
Dan looks over towards her, alerted by a sixth sense. Beth replaces the receiver with a frown and returns to the table.
Nobody there. That's the second time tonight. I hate that. It gives me the creeps.
I'm always afraid it's someone trying to case the joint.
Oh, no, don't worry. It's probably one of Dan's girlfriends. Laughter. Close on Dan. A sudden reaction as he's caught off guard by Jimmy's jibe. Of course, it's exactly what he's thinking. He quickly laughs it off.
Ooh, yeah, but which one?
But as the camera lingers on his face, we sense his anxiety. Interior Gallagher apartment bedroom night. The camera slowly tracks towards the bed, where Dan and Beth are asleep, continuing past to end on a close shot of the telephone next to Dan's head. It clings into life. Dan's eyes open wide as he's jolted awake. Almost on instinct, he reaches for the phone before it can ring again. Beth stirs drowsily in her sleep.
Yeah.
Alex's apartment bedroom, big close-up night. Alex's face is set hard.
At last.
Back to Dan. He shoots an anxious glance in Beth's direction. She's slowly waking up, intrigued by a call at this late hour.
Oh, Richard, it's kind of late, isn't it?
If you keep refusing my calls at the office, you leave me no choice.
Yeah, it's 2 a.m. here. Can this wait till tomorrow morning?
Oh, is it awkward for you to talk?
You'd say that. You could say that.
I've got to see you.
I don't have the documentation here to answer that question. I'll call you from the office.
No, meet me in front of the Robinson Hart building at 6.
Well, let me just think about that.
Don't disappoint me.
You can rely on that.
Be there.
Goodbye.
He replaces the phone. By now, Beth is wide awake and looking at him with open curiosity.
Who in the hell was that?
A client. Jesus, when do you have the accent at 2 in the morning? These
Fuck
guys think
off.
they own you.
In the middle of the night, I will talk as I want.
Okay, wife, it's only 11 in LA.
Even so.
She turns over, trying to find a comfortable position, finally settling down. Dan remains on his back, staring up at the ceiling. This is beginning to get to him. Exterior 6th Avenue evening. Dan and Alex are walking along 6th Avenue. He is striding angrily along beside her. His loud voice attracts the attention of passers-by.
This has got to stop.
Dan, if you'd agree to see me, I wouldn't have had to call you.
It hasn't registered, has it? It's over. There's nothing between us.
You mean you've had your fun? Now you just want a quiet life.
He pulls her roughly into a doorway.
Why are you doing this?
Doing what?
You need help.
He moves away. She hurries to catch up with him.
You need a shrink, a fucking doctor.
Interior subway station and corridors day. Dan and Alex are walking along the endless corridors. He looks grim.
Why are you so hostile? It really isn't necessary, you know. I'm not your enemy.
Then why are you trying to hurt me?
I don't want to hurt you, Dan. I love you.
You what?
I love you.
You don't even know me.
How can you say that?
We spent the weekend together. That's as far as it goes.
You stayed that second night. You must have liked me a little.
I was worried about you. Why do you have to read so much into everything?
She suddenly looks very vulnerable. He realizes she really does believe he must feel something for her.
Can't you understand? I've got a whole life going with someone else, a very happy one.
Whole means complete. If your life's so damn complete, what were you doing with me?
Is this why you had to see me? What do you want to talk about? Our imaginary love affair?
I'm pregnant.
His jaw
Fuck.
drops. She stares at him coolly.
Now tell me you don't believe me.
I don't believe you.
I saw my gynecologist on Monday. Here's his number if you want to call him. You can call if you want to.
She hands him a card. He takes it, stunned.
Don't you understand?
Use anything? No, I don't. I had a very bad miscarriage last year. I didn't think I could get pregnant.
All Dan can do is stare at the card.
You sure it's mine? How do you know it's mine?
Because I don't sleep around.
Okay. I'm sorry. I apologize. Don't worry. I'm not going to let you handle this on your own.
Handle what?
Well, the abortion. You don't have to worry about the money. I'll take care of it.
What makes you think I'm going to have an abortion?
No. You're not going to have the baby.
Why not?
Kid.
There are plenty of successful one-parent families. At least they don't end in divorce.
Do I have any say at all in this?
I want the child. It has nothing to do with you. I'm going to have it whether you want to be a part of it or not.
Then why the hell are you telling me? Why not just do it?
I was hoping you would want to be a part of it.
Dan shakes his head in despair.
This is crazy insane. This is just crazy.
I'm 36 years old. This may be my last chance to have a child.
Alex, for God's sake, think what you're saying. You're gonna this will affect both of our lives forever.
Don't you think I don't know that? I thought about it a lot. I understand how you feel. It's a big thing, but it doesn't have to be a problem. Really, it doesn't. Play fair with me and I'll play fair with you.
She rests a reassuring hand over his, but Dan feels far from reassured. He can see a nightmare future opening up in front of him. Interior Gallagher apartment living room, evening. Beth sits at the dining table with Ellen, reading to her from an Oink and Pearl book.
Agnes and Nellie and Oink giggled and laughed in the dark. Pearl listened outside the door.
Dan is working at his desk, or at least trying to. He cannot concentrate. He starts to listen to Beth's story, faint but distinct.
Ooh, it works, cried Nellie. Of course, said Oink. Look at the flying dog, yelled Agnes. Wow, cried Nellie.
Interior Gallagher apartment living room evening. Beth continues the reading. Ellen is enthralled.
Pearl frowned. Who cares about flying dogs, she said. Nobody heard her.
Sensing a presence, Beth looks up. Beth smiles and goes back to her reading. She senses nothing amiss. Close on Dan, he has a look of poignant tenderness. Never has his family appeared more precious. He cannot take his eyes away from them.
Look out for the worm, squealed Agnes. Yeek, yelled Nellie and Agnes together.
Exterior Alex's apartment building, morning. Alex exits her building and leaves for work. Camera pans after her, coming to rest on Dan, watching from across the street. Satisfied that she's out of the way, he races to the front door. Looking anxiously around, Dan impulsively presses all the buzzers. He's hyperventilating. After a moment, people start answering on the intercom. At least one person buzzes. He's in. Instead of taking the elevator, he races up the stairs. Dan arrives on Alex's floor, looks around, and hastily feels for the hiding key. He lets himself into Alex's flat. Interior Alex's loft, day. Dan hurries to the apartment, looking around. He doesn't even know what he's looking for. Anything to give him a handle on this person he's dealing with. Anything to give him some leverage. In the bathroom, he looks at all of her many pills. Something catches his eye in the medicine chest. Close-up, a home pregnancy test. She was telling the truth. At Alex's desk, Dan picks up some papers and looks through them. He spins her Rolodex looking for addresses. A scrapbook catches his eye. He pulls it down, thumbs through it, angles of Alex's family in Chicago. Suddenly he stops. The camera zooms in. A newspaper obituary of Alex's father. He died of a heart attack when Alex was 7. Dan can't do anything but gape. Who the hell, what the hell is she? Interior law office library, day. A clerk is distributing and collecting books among the stacks. We discover Dan and Jimmy in a corner.
So,
God damn it, Dan.
so you know what happened? Then you know what I did? Right? I call her doctor, and you know what he says? Congratulations. Can you imagine what she must have said to him?
Oh, Jesus. Look, what do you think would happen if you just came out and told Beth?
Are you kidding? That'd be the end. This woman is having my child. Goddamn kid, baby. Beth could never accept that. Nobody could. Anyway, you haven't heard it yet. That's not the end. When I got off the phone with her doctor, I broke into her place this morning. I know, me, a lawyer, breaking and entering. I was looking for something, anything to give me a handle on what the hell I'm dealing with her. And I thought maybe I could find out if she was sleeping with anyone else.
He hears a noise, stops.
I came up with nothing. Jimmy, I've never touched family law. What kind of case does she have?
In New York State, the law will take a woman's word for paternity until the child is born and paternity can be tested. Until the baby comes to term, the putative father, you, pal, you, the father, is responsible for all medical and maintenance costs. In other words, the law supposes you guilty until proven innocent.
Thanks, buddy. You sound like a lawyer.
Sorry. Hey, come on. Look, once she realizes you don't want anything to do with her, she'll decide not to go through with it. She's probably hoping you'll leave your wife.
That's crazy.
She sounds a little crazy. Dan looks at him, his face haggard with pain and anxiety.
She keeps calling the apartment every time Beth answers. She hangs up. I'm scared, Jimmy. I really am. I don't want to lose my family.
He turns away, afraid of showing his emotions. Listen, Dan, can I ask you something? I'd really like to understand. I know you. You don't fuck around. How come? Why'd you do it?
That's funny. She keeps asking me that. If I'm so happy, how come I went home with her?
He walks over to the window and looks out.
All I can think of is a combination lock. You know, all the tumblers have to fall into place. If I had been married 10 years, if I had gone that week, the weekend meeting, click, if Beth and Ellen had been in the country away, click, if she hadn't been at the meeting, click, if she hadn't been raining so hard, if she hadn't been so attractive, I don't know. I think everyone's got some combination that'll open them up, but that can unlock them.
Long silence. Interior Alex's apartment bedroom, night. Alex is propped up in bed, wearing her kimono, eating an apple. She looks like she's been in bed all day. The TV is on, but she pays it no attention. She leafs through her manuscript distractedly. Eventually, she picks up the phone and dials, punching out the numbers with a stabbing finger. An auto voice comes on the line.
I'm sorry, the number you have dialed has been disconnected and there is no new number.
A tone is heard. Alex stares at the phone in disbelief, then dials 411.
Information, what city, please?
I'm trying to reach 555-8129-212. A recording says it's been disconnected.
Just a minute. That's correct. The party has changed to an unlisted number.
Operator, this is a real emergency. Please, you have to give me that number.
I'm sorry, we're not allowed to do that.
Well, fuck you.
Well, fuck you too.
Furious, Alex slams down the phone. Exterior Gallagher apartment building, day. Dan is walking along his street, deep in thought. He starts to cross the street and is stopped in the middle by a car honking furiously. He finally crosses and enters his building, helping a little old lady in. Interior Gallagher apartment hall, evening. Dan comes through into the apartment. He can hear women's voices coming from the main room. One is immediately recognizable as belonging to Beth. The other sounds uncomfortably familiar. The conversation is on the subject of babies, as far as can be made out. Dan moves towards the room with increasing trepidation. Interior main room, evening. The camera follows into the room. There, sitting together on the sofa, are Beth and Alex. Beth rises with a smile.
Hi, darling. This Alex. Oh, I'm sorry. I've forgotten your last name.
Alex Forrest.
Oh, Alex Forrest. It's my husband, Dan.
He moves forward as if in a bad dream, almost in slow motion.
Glad to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
She gives him her hand. He has no alternative but to shake it. She holds on to him a fraction longer than is necessary, studying him with exaggerated curiosity.
Haven't we met before? Your face is awfully familiar.
I don't think so.
No, we have. Weren't you at a party at that Japanese place a few weeks ago? A book launch.
Oh, darling, the exercise book.
Oh, yes.
You're a lawyer, right? You work for that firm, what's the name now? Anyway, we definitely met.
Miller, Goodman, and Hearst.
You have an excellent memory.
Oh, I never forget a face.
It's a small world.
It certainly is.
He looks at him significantly. What? There's a pause. It's not awkwardness. Alex breaks the silence, turning to Dan.
So, I gather you're moving to the country?
Yes.
Have you found somewhere?
He doesn't answer.
We're buying a house near Bedford. Have you ever been out there?
Oh, yes, it's beautiful. So you'd be ready to move out of here almost immediately.
Beth looks to Dan for guidance. He is impassive, his face a frozen mask.
We were planning to get some remodeling done first. I guess you're looking for a place right away?
Well, I would really. I want to settle in.
Alex is expecting a baby.
Oh, would you excuse me? I have some calls to make.
He turns to his desk. Alex checks her watch.
Oh, goodness, I've got to run.
She moves to get her coat and starts across. She turns to Beth with a sweet smile.
Thank you for the tea. Thank you for showing me the apartment.
You're welcome.
I like it. I like it a lot.
We've been very happy here.
I'd definitely like to think about it if I could.
Oh, let me give you our direct number so you can call us if you want to.
Dan looks on in dismay and makes a very weird noise. Beth scribbles down the number and hands it to Alex.
Thank you.
Interior Gallagher apartment hall, evening. Beth opens the door to let Alex out. For a moment, Alex looks at Dan standing in the doorway.
I'll be in touch.
She gives him a tight little smile. Beth closes the door. Interior living room, day. Dan is standing at the window staring out at the city. Beth comes in to clear the coffee table.
She seems really interested. It's funny she didn't mention a husband. I get the feeling she's all alone on her own.
She moves towards Dan. He suddenly looks tired and haggard.
Oh,
What's up? You seem depressed.
it's fine. Just tired. Everything's fine.
She kisses the side of his head. Interior law firm, Dan's office, day. We're close on his speakerphone, answering.
Ooh, Robinson Hot.
Alex Forrest.
Miss Forrest's office.
Yes, could I speak with Miss Forrest? It's Dan Gallagher.
I'm
Interior
sorry, what was
Robinson
your name?
Hart.
Dan Gallagher.
Copy that.
Robinson Hart, Alex's office day. Alex's assistant has answered the phone. He mouths Dan's name to Alex, who is standing nearby. She signals that she's not in.
She's in a meeting, Mr. Gallagher. Can I have her return your call?
Interior law firm, Dan's office day. He thinks for a moment, thwarted.
No, I'll call her back.
He slams the phone angrily. Interior/exterior phone booth on Manhattan Street, day. Dan is crossing the street to get to the phone booth in the neighborhood of his office.
Hi, sweetheart. I gotta have a drink with a client. I'm gonna be a little late. Sorry, I won't be very late. All right, give my love to Ellen.
He presses down the receiver, puts in another coin, and dials again. He waits impatiently for the call to be answered, rapping a coin against the side of the payphone. His nerves are on edge. Interior Alex's apartment, main room, day. The phone rings a couple of times, and then an answering machine cuts in. We hear Alex's announcement.
Hi, I'm not in right now, but if you care to leave a message, I'll call you right back.
Back to Dan. He hesitates, then puts down the phone and walks away. Interior Alex's apartment, main room, day. As the answering machine clicks off, we pan across the sofa. Alex is sitting there, smiling to herself. Exterior Alex's apartment building, night. The street outside Alex's apartment. Dan enters frame in the foreground and looks up at the building. He crosses the street and goes up to the entrance. Exterior front entrance, night. Dan presses the bell and waits. He presses again. At last, Alex's voice comes over the entry phone.
Hello?
It's me.
Who?
You know who it is. Let me in. I want to talk to you.
Oh, now you want to talk.
Yeah, I want to talk.
She presses the buzzer. He goes inside. Interior Alex's apartment building, corridor, night. Dan stands outside Alex's door. The door opens to reveal Alex. She looks stunning at her most seductive. She has transformed herself from the earlier scene. She knew he'd come. She stands aside with an ironic little smile to let him enter. He goes in. The door closes. Interior Alex's apartment hallway, night. Tight lips, Dan follows her into the main room. Interior Alex's apartment, main room, night. Alex goes towards the kitchen area.
What can I get you? I've got scotch, I've got vodka. There's a nice Chablis in the refrigerator.
Dan remains standing. His anger is bubbling over.
Can we please cut the bullshit? Can we just cut the bullshit now? I don't know what you're up to, but I'm telling you it's going to stop right here, right now.
No, it's not going to stop. It's going to go on and on until you face your responsibilities.
What responsibilities? What the fuck are you talking about?
I'm pregnant. I'm having our child.
Alex, that's your choice, not mine.
I just want to be a small part of your life.
And you think this is the right way to go about it? Just showing up at my apartment.
She moves back towards him.
What am I supposed to do? You won't talk to me? You changed your number? I won't be ignored.
You just don't get it, do you?
They are face to face now. She looks into his eyes, her lips moistly parted, his for the taking.
Don't you remember our weekend? Wasn't that wonderful? Why can't we be like that again?
She presses herself against him, coiling her arm around his neck.
I know you feel it too. You want me. I know you do.
She moves her mouth towards his. At the last moment, he pushes her away.
Don't flatter yourself.
Poor darling. You can't help having dirty thoughts, can you?
He fixes her with a murderous stare.
Poor little Beth. I thought she was awfully sweet, but she was also kind of boring. Is she boring in bed too? That's the problem, isn't it?
He grabs her by the wrist, twisting her arm upwards. For a second, there is rage in his eyes and fear in hers.
I'm warning you. You leave her out of it.
She grins maliciously.
Go ahead, hit me. If you can't fuck me, why don't you hit me?
He releases his grip.
You're so sad. You know that? You're sad and lonely.
Don't pity me, ever, you smug bastard.
I do pity you. You're a very sick girl.
Why? Because I won't let you treat me like some slut you can bang a couple of times, then dump in the trash can? I'm going to be the mother of your child. I want some respect.
You want respect?
He turns and walks towards the door. He's had enough.
What are you doing?
She goes after him. Interior Alex's apartment, hallway, night. She catches up with him in the hall, grabbing his sleeve.
I'm sorry, Dan. I didn't mean it. Please don't go.
He pushes her away and carries on towards the exit. Alex tries to interpose herself between him and the door.
I'll tell your wife.
Something inside Dan snaps. He grabs her by the throat and forces her up against the wall.
You do that, and I'll kill you. I swear to God.
He releases his grip. Alex falls back, clutching her throat and gasping for breath. He goes out the door, slams it behind him. Alex pulls herself together, shouts impotently after him.
All it takes is a phone call, Dan. I'm warning you, I won't just disappear.
She turns and races back towards the living room. Alex comes back into the main room, breathing heavily. She lunges for the phone and dials.
Sorry, she scared me so much. Hello? Hello? Who is this? Hello?
At the last moment, Alex's nerve fails her. Maybe she realizes it would mean the end of her hold over Dan. Maybe she's genuinely frightened of what he might do. At any rate, she suddenly slams down the phone, flings it violently against the wall, and breaks down into uncontrollable, hysterical grief. Fade to black. Interior country house, hallway, day. Dan is directing two movers as they start up the stairs with a mattress while he's helping another man with a table.
That's second door on the left, upstairs.
The two movers struggle up with the mattress. Interior country house, living room, day. Beth and her mother Joan are already unpacking crates, trying to get the place into some kind of order.
Never knew we had so much junk.
I still think you were crazy to move in before the remodeling was done. You could have stayed in the apartment.
Dan couldn't wait to get out of New York. Mom, is this you? That's sweet.
At that moment, the phone rings. Beth glances over to the far end of the room where it rests on the hall stairs. Interior country house, hallway, day. Dan is helping one of the movers to the large table, which is stuck in the door. He looks up anxiously. His immediate instinct is to answer it himself, but he is squeezed up against the door frame. Nevertheless, he releases his grip on the table, which drops to the ground with the man still holding up his end. Sounds like a Travis thing to do. Dan hurries to squeeze through the doorway. He lurches towards the phone. Interior country house, main room, day. Meanwhile, Beth is on her way to pick up the phone. Dan crosses past the doorway, calling as he goes.
Get it. I've got it, honey.
Surprised by his eagerness, Beth stops in her tracks. Interior country house, hallway, day. Dan reaches the phone and grabs the receiver.
Hello.
Hi, Dan, it's me.
He grins hugely.
Martha, it's you. Yes. Shit. What is it? It's Martha.
Nothing important, only your calls.
He looks up at the mover, still stuck in the door. He nods understandingly.
Yes.
Relief is written all over his smiling face. Interior country house, upper hallway, afternoon. A week or so has elapsed since the move. Beth is up a ladder, painting the ceiling with a roller brush. She wears a scarf around her head to protect her from the paint, but is covered with spots all the same. The phone rings. She goes to answer.
Hello?
Interior law firm, Dan's office, day. Dan, too, appears very relaxed. The pressure finally seems to be off.
Hi, babe. How's it going? Did the plumber ever come? Wow, this is.
Intercut with Beth, etc.
Maybe ever.
Man, what a week this is. I know. Don't tell me. I don't want to hear. Please. Hey, guess what I'm looking at?
A different angle on Dan, showing a caged rabbit on top of his desk.
You got it?
The home tape. Oh no, I picked it up. Wait a minute. I picked her up at the store today.
What's she like?
She's a rabbit. White, long, floppy ears, pink eyes. No, she's beautiful.
He pets the rabbit.
Sounds cute.
Are you sure Ellen doesn't know anything about it?
No, she's sure she isn't going to get one.
Dan continues ad-libs regarding the rabbit, earmuffs, etc. Interior law firm, reception, evening. Dan passes through at the end of the day carrying the cage.
I like your friend.
Have you met our new partner, Eunice? Okay. See what happens to you if you stay here too long?
He shows her the rabbit. She chirps delightedly at it.
It's like Pinocchio, Treasure Island shit. Anyway, Pleasure Island, whatever the fuck it was. Anyway, aren't we sweet? Oh, I forgot. This arrived for you.
She hands him a small padded envelope. He slips it into his pocket. Exterior, interior parking garage, evening, day. Dan walks up to the garage and the control booth. No sign of the attendant. A small portable TV plays to an empty chair. He leans across and takes his keys from the rack. He starts to walk to the elevator.
Hey, Junction.
Or Joaquin, maybe? He
Oh,
pushes the
Joaquin,
button
I'm
and puts the cage down as the elevator goes up and delivers him to his floor. Interior garage. We track back in front of him as he saunters along, humming a tune. He comes around the bend and heads for his car. Another angle. Alex is watching Dan at a distance from the balcony of the elevator shaft. After a moment, she walks off. Dan is walking along. He is momentarily startled by a car alarm going off. He suddenly slows down, a look of horror on his face.
Jesus.
His POV. Ahead of him, something terrible has happened to his BMW. A poisonous hissing vapor rises in a yellowy cloud from its stricken body. Dan's car, another angle. He approaches, hardly able to believe his eyes. The paint is blistering and peeling off the metal itself dissolving and dribbling over the windows into a hideous, molten mess. Hydrochloric acid has been poured over the entire car, giving off a sinister, hissing steam as it performs its lethal work. This is the work of a sick mind, no less disturbing for being directed against an inanimate object. Interior garage, evening. The camera tracks towards a dark corner at some distance. Alex is hiding there. She steps forward, watching, a malignant smile on her lips. Dan in the car. He stands there with the rabbit. The car is a write-off. He knows who did this. He screams with rage. Interior Hertz office, evening. Dan is on the phone to Beth in a nearby Avis office.
No, it had something to do with the electrical system.
What?
Yeah, the whole thing went up in smoke. Okay, bye.
Exterior Avis office, car pound, evening. Dan emerges from the pound in a rented car. Reverse angle, Alex's Honda. Alex is parked nearby. She starts the engine and moves off. Interior rented car, traveling, evening. The car stops for a light. Dan looks onto the seat next to him and sees the package. With a sudden intuition, he tears it open. There's a cassette with the words "Play Me" on it. He stares. Someone honks behind. The light has changed. He puts the cassette into the deck. Moving forward, he hears the heated voice.
Hello, Dan. Surprised? This is what you've reduced me to. I guess you thought you'd get away with it.
Interior Alex's Honda, traveling, evening. Alex follows a few cars behind. Her face is set hard.
Well, you were wrong.
Interior Dan's rented car, traveling. Dan is listening intently. Dan's car takes a right turn ahead, just as the light turns to red. Alex puts on a spurt to keep up with him, almost running over a startled pedestrian. Interior rented car, traveling, evening. Dan listens, deep in gloomy thought. He's on the freeway going out of the city. Her voice is chilled rage. Exterior Dan's and Alex's cars, POV shots, traveling through the city.
Part of you is growing inside me. That's a fact, Dan, and you better start learning how to deal with it. Oh, Dan, I feel you, I taste you, I think you, I touch you. Can you understand? Can you?
Exterior country road, night. Dan's car zooms up and past along a tree-lined country road. A few moments later, the Honda follows. She's businesslike now.
I'm asking you to acknowledge your responsibilities. Is that so unreasonable? I don't think so.
Exterior country house, night. Dan's car pulls up beside the house.
And another thing.
Interior Dan's rented car, night. Dan sits, listening for a moment. Then he reaches over and stops the tape, pulling the cassette out and putting it into his jacket pocket. He reaches for the rabbit cage and gets out of the car. Alex's car stops momentarily on the road at the top of the driveway. As Dan walks towards his house, Alex's car starts again and cruises slowly past the driveway entrance. A shadowy figure, Alex, runs across the vast lawn towards the house. Exterior country house, ground floor window, night. The camera is looking through the ground floor window into the living room. Ellen and Beth are kneeling on the floor in front of a log fire making a giant jigsaw puzzle. Ellen is in her pajamas, ready for bed. Dan enters with the rabbit. Ellen can't believe it. She's absolutely thrilled. Dan looks on, feeling the strain, but trying not to let it show. We track back to reveal Alex in the foreground, watching from the shadows. Close shot Alex. She watches with a look of contempt, tinged with a peculiar fascination. Her expression changes to one of alarm, and she shrinks back out of sight. Alex. She suddenly clamps a hand over her mouth and starts to run down the garden away from the house. She barely makes it to the bushes before she is violently sick. She comes up gasping for air. She stands there in the stillness of the night, taking in long, deep breaths. Then she softly walks away. Interior Dan's den, night. The remodeled attic, now furnished with Dan's possessions, his desk, etc., looking beautiful. The trapdoor opens quietly and Dan enters. The house is asleep. He pads over to his desk and stereo, puts on the earphones, and takes Alex's cassette out of his jacket pocket. As he listens, the camera moves in tight.
You thought you could just walk into my life and turn it upside down without a thought for anyone but yourself. You know what you are? You're a cocksucking son of a bitch, Dan. I'll bet you don't even really like girls. They probably scare you. I know I do.
As she rambles, we're in tight and startled when a pair of hands descend on Dan's shoulder. He jumps a mile. It's Beth in a nightgown. Close up. Dan's finger presses the off button on the tape deck.
Jesus, you scared me the shit out of me.
Sorry, I was just wondering what you're doing up so late.
Oh, I'm listening to a deposition. I guess I'm still upset about the car. Needed to unwind.
Come on, I'll give you a back rub. A back rub and a brandy, and you won't know what hit you.
The words have an ominous double meaning for Dan, but he has no choice. He lets her turn off the light. Exterior Bedford Station House, day. Dan walks into the local station house. Interior Bedford Station House, lieutenant's office, day. Dan sits in a corner of the squad room across from the lieutenant, a shrewd-looking man in his 40s. He stares at Dan with dark, piercing eyes.
My client wants it stopped. He wants an end to the harassment.
And he's so positive that it was this woman who trashed his car?
Yes, who else?
Any witnesses?
No.
Well, he's welcome to file a complaint if it'll make him feel any better. There's not a lot we can do without proof.
Look, Lieutenant, the woman's completely irrational. There's no telling what she might do.
We can't go around arresting people on account of what they might do. You know that.
I'm not asking you to arrest her. He just wants her warned.
We could talk to her. It's gonna make things more public, which she ain't gonna like, but it may aggravate the situation with the girl.
What do you mean?
Well, whatever resentment she has feeling, she's probably got it out of her system. Any action we take may simply provoke her.
And if she hasn't got it out of her system, what then?
He's becoming increasingly irritated by the lieutenant's casual approach.
You better catch her in the... Oh,
He
sorry.
better catch her in the act, and we can file charges.
You're saying he's...
Cutting off people's lines.
That too, and you're saying he's the guy...
It's not fun, is it, when people do it?
It's not. And you're also saying he's the guy who just got to sit there and take that.
The lieutenant looks at him with a little smile. He knows exactly who this client really is. Interior Goodmanhurst conference room, day. The litigation committee meeting is in session. Arthur is holding forth. And so if everybody agrees, we'll take an immediate appeal from Judge Whitman's order denying our motion to halt the takeover bid. And if that fails, we'll seek an expedited trial. Now, with regards to Rogers versus Winitsky, Dan has what I think is a bold stroke. It's a gamble, but worth taking, and that is to go for summary judgment. I've asked Dan to give us the gist of his argument, and then we can discuss details. Dan? Dan is startled and nervously fishing around his briefcase. He has forgotten the brief. He keeps fishing around as the others watch uncomfortably.
Thank you, Arthur. Just to bring you all up to speed, recap all in this Rogers case. Rogers is accusing Winitsky of plagiarizing an article by Winitsky. I'm sorry, Arthur. I seem to have left. I don't have the papers for the appeal here with me, right in front of me.
Jesus, Dan, I couldn't understand most of that. The litigation committee only meets once a month.
Arthur, I understand. I blew it. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Arthur recovers his disappointment by rearranging his papers. All right, well, moving on to Forsyth versus Plimpton. Does anybody feel that we ought to be challenging the precedent set by the Federal Appeals Court ruling in Harrison versus McDonald? As Arthur drones on, camera closes on Dan. Now it's starting to affect his work. Exterior country house garden, day. At the rear of the house, there is a little wooden hutch with a rabbit inside, and Ellen is feeding it carrots.
Come on, Quincy. Here, Whitey. Here, Whitey. You want a carrot? Here, Whitey. Come closer.
Exterior country house driveway day. Dan, Beth, Ellen, and Quincy all pile into Beth's car in a hurry. The car moves up the driveway and turns into the road. Interior Rogerson living room day. Howard and Dan are sitting in a cozy alcove in a large room having a leisurely drink and chatting. They're also watching Beth and Ellen rehearsing for the Thanksgiving show at school. Joan is serving tea. I see you didn't get your car back.
No, it's a write-off. The wire. It's a write-off. The wiring's completely burnt out.
Amazing, those foreign cars.
Yeah.
Beth, darling, here you are.
She hands Beth a cup of tea. Beth is rehearsing Ellen.
Thanks. You want to try it once more?
Mommy, I know my line. You don't have to tell me.
Okay, let's hear it then.
Okay. Dear Priscilla, Miles asked me
To ask you.
to ask you to marry him.
Very good. Now do it with the hat and the bow.
Ellen puts on her pilgrim's hat and bows deep.
Oops.
Dear Priscilla, Miles asked me to ask you to marry him.
Speak for yourself, John. Now that's what she will say. Very good, honey. You got it. Full on.
Howard and Dan are watching them smiling. Dan calls out.
Ellen, are you crazy? Ellen, come here. Come here. Give me a big hug. Oh, Ellen.
Ellen comes over and Dan picks her up and holds her tight. He's overcome with emotion. Beth is watching. She sees the tears in his eyes. She whispers.
You know, whisper
Mommy?
something.
Hey.
Oh, yes, I'm fine.
Daddy, you're squeezing.
We're at the threshold of hell, sweetheart.
He lets her go. Beth is touched but can't quite figure out where it came from. Exterior country house driveway day. Beth's car draws up outside the front of the house. Ellen gets out and runs towards the back of the house with Quincy.
Come on, Quincy.
Dan sets off after her. Beth goes into the house. Interior country house hallway day. Beth comes through into the hall. She continues through the kitchen. Interior country house kitchen day. As she approaches, Beth becomes aware of the sound of bubbling water. Over on the cooker, a large stew pot steams away, spilling over the flame, producing an angry hissing. Exterior country house backyard day. Ellen comes around the back and runs up to the rabbit hutch. She pulls up in dismay. Her POV, the hutch is empty. The rabbit is gone.
Daddy, Whitey's gone.
Oh, what? Why? Oh my God. Why?
Interior country house kitchen day. Beth approaches the cooker and raises the lid off the pot. She lets out a piercing scream. Exterior country house backyard day. Dan reaches Ellen just at that moment. As he hears the scream, he turns in horror towards the kitchen door. Interior country house kitchen day. Beth stares at the contents of the pot. She is shaking uncontrollably. Her POV, the rabbit's glassy eyes stare back at her. Sliced carrots bob in the boiling water in grotesque imitation of a stew. Interior country house nursery afternoon. Ellen is in bed, sobbing her heart out. Beth tries to soothe her, but the child is inconsolable. Somehow she manages to get her to calm down. Interior country house living room afternoon. Dan stands staring out of the door into the backyard. It's begun to rain. He looks at the empty rabbit hutch, listens for weeping upstairs. All is quiet. Beth comes downstairs.
How is she? She okay?
She's asleep. Did you call the police?
Not yet, no.
Why not?
Honey, we gotta talk.
What about?
Beth sits down on the sofa. Dan closes the door. Outside, the encroaching dusk casts dark shadows into the room. He hesitates.
What is it?
He turns to face her. He takes a deep breath.
I know who did this.
You do? Who?
Do you remember the girl who came to see the apartment? The one we met, saw at the Japanese restaurant?
The girl with blonde hair?
Yes.
He can't speak. She watches, wondering.
You're scaring me. Why don't you talk? What is it? Did you have an affair with her?
Yes. Yes.
Beth buries her head in her hands. Dan sits down opposite her.
Honey, the last thing I'd ever want to do was hurt you. More than anything, I didn't mean to hurt you.
Beth is stunned. She keeps swallowing, confused.
Are you in love with her?
Of course not. It was one night. It meant nothing, believe me.
I don't get it. What does this have to do with what happened?
She's pregnant.
She's pregnant? And it's yours?
That's what she says. Honey, she's crazy. I don't know.
Don't come near me.
Please, I love you.
He reaches out hopelessly.
Get out. Just leave me the fuck alone.
She keeps backing away from him and finally starts flailing at him.
Get the fuck out. How could you?
Beth, please listen to me.
She rushes at him again, punching and scratching his face. He tries to protect himself without fighting back.
I hate you. I want you out of here. Understand? I want you out of here. Just get the fuck out of my house.
Dan is about to respond when they both realize. They turn and look horrified. Their POV. Ellen is standing there watching them. She's never seen them like this. All three are frozen statues, blasted by circumstances.
Oh, God.
Interior country house bedroom evening. Dan packs a small suitcase. Woodenly, he closes it and carrying it, walks out of the room and down the hall. Camera following to interior Ellen's room, night. The lights are out and Ellen is asleep. Dan stands in the doorway helplessly, his eyes streaming tears. After a moment, he closes the door and walks down the hall. Interior country house living room, evening. Beth sits in semi-darkness on the sofa. Dan dials.
Well, Alex?
His voice is like ice. He hates her so much it hurts. Interior Alex's apartment, main room, night. Alex answers warily, not quite sure how to play it. She adopts a heavily ironical tone.
Dan, this isn't a pleasant surprise.
Back to Dan, intercut.
Yeah, well, you did it, didn't you? Are you happy now?
Am I happy? Now let me see. I'll have to think about that one.
Well, you think about it. It's all over, Alex. It's finished. I've told Beth. Beth knows about it. Beth knows. I've told her.
Oh, sure. You haven't got the balls.
Why don't you speak to her?
Why should I want to talk to her?
Beth gets up and comes to the phone. She is very cool, very calm, but there is a lethal undercurrent to her measured tone.
This is Beth Gallagher.
Alex freezes. She is immobilized. She can't deal with this at all.
If you ever come near my family again, I'll fucking kill you. Is that understood?
Alex slams down the phone. She's shaking all over, staring wildly. Dan is looking at Beth. She hangs up, turns, and walks away. Interior Holiday Inn corridor, night. Dan is warily walking down the corridor to his room. Interior Dan's hotel room, night. He enters, sees the maid cleaning in the bathroom, goes to sit on the bed.
This is 40B. Any messages? Thank you.
He hangs up, looks at the maid who is just leaving, then dials again. Interior country house, dining room, piano, night. Beth is playing a sad piece by Chopin. Ellen is sitting next to her. The phone rings. After 2 rings, Ellen runs to the kitchen to answer it.
Hello, I'll get it. Hello.
Intercut with Dan.
Hi, honey.
Daddy, when are you coming back?
I don't know, sweetie. How you doing?
Fine.
Yeah.
Grandpa taught me another card trick.
The one with the jacks?
No, the one with the kings.
Oh, I see. Jesus. How's mom?
Fine.
Well, you tell her I said hello?
Yeah.
Don't forget.
I won't.
I send you lots of love. Both of you, okay? What are you eating?
Fruit roll up. Daddy, will you call me tomorrow?
I promise. Don't forget to tell Mom.
I won't. Okay.
Bye, sweetheart.
Bye.
He hangs up. Interior country house at the piano, night. Beth sits there listening, teary-eyed, biting her lip. After a moment, she starts playing again. Interior Holiday Inn, Dan's room, night. Dan sits on the bed working, staring at an inane sitcom on TV. Interior Alex's loft, night. Alex is seen alone and forlorn. She switches a lamp on and off. Interior Beth's station wagon, traveling, day. Beth is driving along deep in thought. Exterior play, school, Bedford, day. Parents are collecting their children from the local infant school. Beth drives up and parks. She goes up to the entrance. One of the teachers seems surprised to see her.
Hi, Mrs. Gallagher. Did you forget something?
I've come to get Ellen.
I thought you picked her up already. I'm sure she's left.
Immediate panic registers on Beth's face. The teacher also senses trouble. They enter the building together. They meet another teacher in the hall.
Betty, is Ellen in here with you?
Damn it,
Yeah,
Betty.
Pastor Biddy.
she's gone home already.
Are you sure?
Positive. She's not inside. She's not in the playground. I thought you picked her up.
Well, who did pick her up?
Oh, God.
Don't worry, she can't have gotten far.
You don't understand. Oh, God.
I'll check her locker.
Beth runs down the corridor to Ellen's classroom. The little girl is tying her laces.
Honey, where's Ellen? Have you seen Ellen? She left. No. Oh.
Beth is running back to the front door. She passes the teacher.
Call the police. Oh, God. Oh, sorry.
Interior station wagon, traveling, day. Beth is driving along the route home, checking for any sign of Ellen. She's completely distraught.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
Her POV, the sidewalk. On the sidewalk, a group of children playing. No Ellen. Close shot Beth. As she turns back to face ahead, a sudden look of alarm. Ahead through the windshield, a car flashes across her bow, horn blaring. Exterior road junction, day. Beth's car screeches to a halt. Interior Beth's car. Shaken, she sets off again.
Please, God.
Exterior playland. Ellen holds hands with someone taller than she as they walk into playland. It's Alex, who smiles down at her. Interior country house hallway. The front door bursts open and Beth runs in.
Jesus. Oh, my God. Ellen. Ellen.
Exterior playland. Ellen and Alex leave the ice cream stand, each clutching a cone. They walk along the midway. Some of the rides are closed. Alex points. The Playland musical review. Alex and Ellen sit among the few spectators. Interior country house, day. Handheld as Beth tears in and out of rooms, screaming Ellen's name. Constricting, strangulating, panic. Exterior playland, rowboat, lake, day. We see a man helping them into a boat. Utterly serene. Alex rows gently as Ellen in the stern trails her hand in the water. Alex smiles enigmatically. Ellen, absorbed by the water, doesn't notice. Suddenly, Alex gets up and advances menacingly on Ellen. Ellen doesn't understand.
Don't hurt me.
Just as suddenly, Alex sits back down again. Interior country house, day. Beth runs up the stairs, calling for Ellen at the nursery door. Desperate, she runs back down and tears out of the house, slamming the door. Exterior playland, dragon coaster entrance, day. Alex and Ellen are wandering across an open square, wider angle. They are approaching the covered terminal shed for the full-size roller coaster. Exterior playland, dragon coaster, day. We are looking down the steeply sloping track from one of the pinnacles of the roller coaster. The carriages climb slowly towards us with an ominous clinking of chains. Close on Ellen and Alex. Alex and Ellen are laughing and yelling, having a fine time. Angle on enthralled, something's about to happen. Another angle, the leading carriage reaches the top of the slope, hovers there. Interior Beth's car, traveling, day. Beth is driving at speed, looking frantically from side to side, the start of a scream. Exterior roller coaster. Day, which turns out to be Ellen's joyful cry as the roller coaster plunges down. Alex and Ellen are flung back against their seats by the centrifugal force. The camera is mounted on the front of their car, looking back at them, making the only fixed points in the frame. The background behind them seems to travel at almost unbelievable speed. Exterior road junction. Day. Beth's car arrives at a junction and screeches to a halt. Interior Beth's car. On impulse, Beth decides to take a left turn, spinning the wheel and taking off with a violent swerve. Exterior roller coaster, low angle, traveling. A seemingly endless cantilevered curve hurtles towards us. Exterior Beth's car, traveling. The car races, reflections from overhead trees flashing on the windshield. She drives into a tunnel. Exterior roller coaster, angle on Alex. Her hand on the safety bar, they come out of a tunnel. Interior Beth's car, traveling. Beth, something attracts her attention. She turns to see. Exterior roller coaster, angle on Ellen, traveling. Smiling, her eyes widen as. Interior Beth's car, traveling. Beth cranes her neck as she overtakes a woman and a little girl walking on the sidewalk. Exterior roller coaster, traveling. Subjective, front of the car POV, another plunge. Interior car, Beth's POV, traveling. The little girl is nothing like Ellen. Exterior roller coaster, traveling. The coaster POV hits bottom and the car is rear up. Interior Beth's car. Beth reacts to the little girl, turns and her eyes widen. Interior Beth's car, traveling. Day. Her POV ahead. Immediately in front of her, a station wagon slowed down to turn off the hood. Or the road. Its taillights race forward to meet the hood of Beth's car. Exterior roller coaster. Ellen staring right at the camera, the sound of tearing metal. Interior Beth's car, Beth's POV, traveling. The car's hood smashes into the back of the station wagon with a violent impact. Exterior Beth's car. The station wagon is driven along by Beth's car for 20 yards or more before the two vehicles come to a rest with a screech of twisting metal. Then all is silence. Exterior Alex's car. Day. Driving through the countryside. Interior Alex's car. Alex driving. Serene. For a moment, we don't know where she is or what's happened to Ellen. She's looking pleased with herself. We pan over to find Ellen on the seat next to her. Exterior country house. Alex stops the car at the top of the driveway. Alex reaches over towards Ellen, but past her. She's opening the passenger door. Outside, we can see that Ellen has been brought home.
Ellen, can I have a kiss?
Ellen comes back in the car and gives Alex a kiss on the cheek. Then she turns and runs down the driveway. Interior Westchester Hospital corridor, evening. Dan is running along the corridor looking at the names on the doors. He comes around a corner, catching up with a nurse.
I'm looking for Beth Gallagher. I'm her husband. Yes.
Oh, here's attacking me. She's in 22 at the end of the hall.
At the end of the hall, Joan is sitting in a chair with Ellen on her lap. Ellen looks up and spots her father.
Oh, Daddy!
She gets off Joan's lap and starts running towards him.
Is she all right? Is she going to be all right?
Yes, she will be all right, but she's very, very lucky. It could have been a lot worse. A lot worse.
Ellen arrives at a dead run. Dan bends down to sweep her up in his arms. She's crying now, the tension flooding out of her.
Oh, baby, it's okay. Daddy's here.
Interior Westchester Hospital, Beth's room, evening. Beth is lying on her bed, sedated. There's heavy bruising around her eyes, but she's all in one piece. Howard is sitting by the bed. The door opens slowly. Dan enters. He approaches the bed cautiously. Howard gives him a cold, hard look.
Howard, it's Dan. Everything's going to be all right. Love you.
He takes her hand. Briefly, her eyes open and she registers his presence. Her hand gives his a little, almost imperceptible squeeze before her eyelids flutter shut again. He looks down at her, a vulnerable, injured figure. He closes his eyes. Interior Dan's rented car, traveling, night. It's raining heavily. We see Dan through the car windshield, the wipers crossing back and forth across his face with insistent urgency. There is a look of steel in his eyes. His POV ahead. The Henry Hudson Bridge comes towards us. He is entering Manhattan. Exterior Alex's apartment building, night. Dan lurks in the shadows outside the entrance as a young couple comes out of the building. He slips inside before the door can close. Interior Alex's apartment building corridor, night. Dan stands at the door to Alex's apartment. He rings the bell. After a moment, Alex opens the door a crack to the extent of a short chain. Seeing it's him, she quickly tries to close it. He slams his shoulder against the door with all of his force, with the strength of all of his pent-up rage. In the background, she's listening to Madame Butterfly. Interior Alex's apartment hallway, night. Alex comes flying back into the hall, the chain ripping off its bracket with the sound of tearing wood. Dan comes crashing into the apartment. The music continues throughout. Alex is on the floor, thrown there by the impact of the door. She tries to crawl away, startled by the savagery of his appearance. He throws himself after her, trying to grab her. He follows her towards the main room. In the main room, night. Alex gets to her feet and races into the main room, trying to set up roadblocks to slow Dan down. She throws a floor lamp down behind her, then the bike, which is leaning against the wall. It doesn't slow Dan down very much. He simply jumps over the upended lamp and the bike sprawled across his path. Alex is running through the bedroom with Dan close behind her. She manages to get into the bathroom and turns to pull the door shut just as Dan is reaching for her. As she pulls at the door, Alex pins his arm against the door jamb. He yells out in pain and grabs her head, pushing it violently against the glass door. As she struggles to free herself, he pushes the door open and Alex lands on the bathroom floor. He throws himself on her and starts to choke her. She manages to free a leg and gives him a kick in the groin, which makes him turn away in pain. Alex is up and out of the bathroom. Alex comes running out of the bathroom, but Dan is close behind her. As she reaches the other end of the bedroom, he reaches for her. For a moment, he's not looking where he's headed. He crashes into the glass partition just as she wrenches away. Glass is flying in all directions. Alex loses her balance and falls into the glass. Dan sees her fall and pounces on her. On her hands and knees, she tries to escape into the kitchen area, but Dan is right behind her. In the kitchen, Dan grabs Alex and pulls her up. In a mad rage, he slams her into a kitchen cabinet. She tries to get away, but he slams her into the stove, sending the light above it swinging madly. He forces her to the floor and pins her down. Completely out of control, he starts to choke the life out of her. She can't get any air and is gasping and choking. Suddenly, he seems to realize that he's about to kill her. He lets go and gets up panting. Dan pulls himself to his feet at the stove and staggers away. Alex crawls to the sink and comes up, coughing and retching. She puts her face in the sink, tries to splash some water on it. She notices a large kitchen knife lying on the edge of the sink. Slowly, she grabs it. She turns to where Dan is standing at the counter, catching his breath. With a terrible scream, she attacks, the knife raised high over her head. Dan turns in horror to see her coming at him. He makes a grab for the knife, but she won't let go. He pushes her back against the far wall in an effort to wrestle the knife from her. He holds her hand with the knife high and bangs it against a water pipe. The pain makes her release her grip, and he grabs the knife from her. Suddenly, it is over. He backs away from her slowly, leaving her standing, holding on for support. She watches him with a strange, sad smile as he backs away, puts the knife on the counter by the stove, and wordlessly turns and walks out of the room. Interior bathroom, night. Alex is sitting in the bathroom floor, holding the kitchen knife almost ritualistically in front of her. Then, slowly and deliberately, she puts it to her throat and draws it across. As the blood starts flowing, she slowly falls to the floor. Interior Bedford Station House, Lieutenant's office, morning. The usual activity of the squad room is interrupted by Dan's raised voice coming out of the lieutenant's office. He closes the door.
I told you before, but you don't want to listen to me. Now, she took my child right out of school. It was kidnapping, pure and simple. My wife's lying in the hospital, lucky to be alive. If you don't do something about this, woman, I...
Look, take it easy, okay? You don't have to shout.
Whoa, all right. What are you going to do?
Okay, then you just started shouting at me, sir, and I need you to settle down. All right? We'll get New York to pick her up and bring her in for questioning. Okay?
Okay. I'm going to pick up my wife from the hospital tomorrow, and hopefully I'll be at home for the weekend. If you need to talk to me, yeah, thank you, Lieutenant.
Dan walks out. The lieutenant looks after him thoughtfully.
You're welcome, screaming guy.
Exterior country house, front yard, day. Dan is raking and burning leaves. Ellen, playing with Quincy, helps raking. Beth is standing nearby, even helping a little. There is an air of serenity about her. She seems reconciled to Dan now that the nightmare is finally over. In the distant background, a police cruiser turns into the driveway and slowly makes its way up to the front of the house. Exterior country house, driveway, day. The cruiser pulls up. 3 men get out. One of them is the lieutenant from the local station house. The other 2 look like plainclothes detectives. Exterior country house, front yard, day. The 3 men are walking over. Dan approaches confidently.
Afternoon, Lieutenant. Did you get her?
Mr. Gallagher, this is Lieutenant O'Rourke, Detective Fusilli, like the pasta, New York homicide. They'd like to ask you a few questions.
Great. Sure.
He suddenly registers what the lieutenant just said.
Excuse me, did you say homicide is in the pasta?
Fuck you. Yes, that's right.
Why? What's that you got to do with? What on Alex Forrest? Did you get her or not?
No, we haven't, as a matter of fact. You saw her last night?
Yes, I already told you, Lieutenant, here. Why? What's she saying?
She's not saying very much, Mr. Gallagher.
Fuselli snickers unpleasantly.
She's dead.
Dan is completely stunned. They all stop.
She's what? She did?
That's right.
O'Rourke stares back at him, saying nothing.
Oh, Busili, how did she? You think I did it? Oh, Jesus! You think I killed her? Jesus, look, you guys. I admit I was pretty angry. The woman kidnapped my daughter. My wife ended up in the hospital, but I didn't kill her, for Christ's sakes. I wanted to. Sure, but I didn't.
He feels the ground slipping away from under him.
Oh, that woman was crazy. She was crazy. She has already tried to kill herself once before.
In my experience, a woman who wants to kill herself doesn't cut her throat with a 9-inch kitchen knife.
No!
Close on
What
Dan.
is so funny, sir?
He's in Alex's kitchen. The camera rushes towards him in dreamlike slow motion as his POV. In slow motion, Alex comes in with a knife. Back to scene. O'Rourke is staring at Dan, who shakes his head slowly from side to side. Dan?
Well,
I
Dan,
didn't do it.
in that case, all we have to do is check your fingerprints against the murder weapon.
He smiles benignly. Dan closes his eyes. Interior Alex's apartment, main room, night. In slow motion, Dan crosses the room, leaving the knife on the kitchen table. Alex appears in the background in the kitchen doorway. Interior Alex's apartment, bathroom, night. Alex is slowly slumping to the floor. Once or twice, her hand twitches slightly. Finally, she lies completely still as the pool of blood is widening. Exterior country house, driveway, day. Beth and Dan are walking out to the driveway. She doesn't understand what's going on. Dan puts on a reassuring act for her benefit. The three men are standing near the cars.
I gotta go with these guys a few more questions.
I don't understand. What's going on?
It's some crazy misunderstanding.
Mr. Gallagher?
Oh, Mr. Fusilli, 2 or 3 minutes and you have the perfect Fusilli. Look, I want you to call Arthur right away. The number's in my book upstairs. Tell him what happened and then I'm going to need him.
What has happened?
Alex Forrest is dead.
What?
Mr. Gallagher?
Fuselli takes Dan by the arm and starts leading him away.
And they think you did it?
I know it's crazy, but it's not true. It's
Sorry, but we gotta go, lady.
He ambles forward and takes out a pair of cuffs.
Now wait a goddamn minute.
No, ma'am, no minutes. Your husband is under arrest.
Ellen, attracted by the conversation, starts to come.
Ellen, go back. Go back inside the house.
Confused, the child obeys.
Beth, don't worry. Just get a hold of Arthur as fast as you and...
I'll call him with you.
Fuselli is putting Dan into the car.
No, call Arthur, honey.
He's choking with emotion as Fuselli and the others get into the car. It starts moving slowly, Beth running alongside.
Dan, I'm coming with you.
She doesn't know what to do and keeps up with the car.
I love you. It'll be all right.
And finally, the car really starts to drive off. Beth gives up as the car pulls away, leaving her standing in the driveway where Ellen finally joins her. Close on Dan. He looks back through the rear window. His POV, Beth. She stands next to Ellen, a motionless family tableau, with Dan the only missing element. As she begins to recede from view, the camera zooms longingly towards her, counteracting the movement of the car as if in some vain attempt to bring her back to him. Gradually, imperceptibly, she slips away, further and further. We should worry. Is this the end? Interior Dan's den, day. Beth pushes open the trapdoor and enters. She goes over to Dan's desk looking for his address book. Can't find it. She searches the small drawers on top of his desk. She pushes his papers around, moves the tape player and the typewriter. Desperately, Beth slumps into the desk chair. She pulls the large desk drawer open and finds the address book lying on top. She starts looking up Arthur's number. Finally finds it. She ignores the tape cassette, which is tucked in the front of the book. She pulls the phone over, dials, and waits. Her hand absentmindedly plays with the tape cassette, which was in the book.
Come on, Arthur. Arthur! Oh, God. Pick up the goddamn phone.
She looks at the cassette in her hand and sees that it reads, "Play me." She reacts and slips it into the tape deck, pushing play. For a moment, nothing is heard. Beth realizes the problem and yanks out the earphone extension cord. Instantly, Alex's voice, very slurred, comes out of the speakers as we close in tighter on Beth, realizing. Alex, more or less where we left off. Alex's mercurial mood on the tape has shifted again. Possibly we hear a fragment of the last previously heard sentence.
You're my last chance, Dan. If you don't come through for me, I don't know what I'll do. But it will be something terrible. I can't live without you, Dan. When you push me away, you give me no other choice. I'll cut deeper next time. I'll kill myself.
Beth reacts, rewinds the tape.
I'll kill myself. There's nothing else left for me, Dan. Nothing. Nothing. Nothing.
Beth is sobbing with relief.
Oh, thank God. Thank God.
She grabs the tape out of the deck and runs with it down the trapdoor. Camera holds on the empty room. Very faintly at first, we hear the music. Slow dissolve to added scene, extra country house day. The camera slowly pans across the wide lawn as snow is beginning to fall. Beth and Ellen come running out of the house. The finale on stage of Butterfly with Pinkerton's frantic cries. Butterfly, butterfly, butterfly. Roll credits as the music soars. Finis.
Bravo, bravi, bravo.